Fine. If you can hear me, thanks for that, Elijah. If you can hear me, if I'm audible and I'm loud enough, just type in a one into the chat so I know that we are ready and we are good to go. Just type in a one into the chat. Okay, Folashade Oluwaseun, brilliant. Thanks for that. Now, if you know somebody that could benefit from today's session, perhaps they've been trying to land jobs. They've been searching, applying to jobs, but no results, then get them into this session. Our session today would take roughly between 1.5 to 2 hours, but it will be worth every single second you spend here today. I'll be breaking down all the things you need to know in order to break into that high paying, high rewarding, high demand career path. And I'm going to drive my session today by also sharing amazing case studies, real people, real human beings, just like you. They joined a session like this. They decided to learn one of the high demand skills. And today they're thriving in absolutely phenomenal jobs. Okay, so we're going to get started. Share the link with a friend, share with a family friend, share with a colleague in the office, get them into the session today. Now, before we dive into the main meat of our session, of course, would get into why we are here. Okay, so what are we looking at? What are we going to talk about? What type of questions are we looking to address today? And our topic today is why Black professionals in the UK, in the US, or Canada often face challenges in landing high-paying jobs, high-level jobs. It's a problem I've seen too many times, and we've helped people in this category to get jobs and thrive in high rewarding career path. But before we dive into the main meat, who are we at Tennalytics and what are we all about? Tennalytics is a leading educational technology company focused on helping professionals land high-paying jobs, irrespective of where you are. And over the last 4 years, getting into the fifth year, we've helped over 2,855 and counting to transition from the classroom to getting their first jobs within the tech ecosystem. So you'd see people in care, carers, domiciliary care, nurses moving from being a carer or a nurse to becoming a business analyst, a data analyst, accountants becoming data scientists, data engineers, and so on and so forth. Bankers back in their home country, moving to the UK, moving to the US, and today they are agile project managers. They're also cybersecurity professionals. All right. So that's always the focus for us. And we do this across multiple career paths, from data analytics to data science to data engineering to cybersecurity, agile project management, and so on. And I'll be sharing exactly how these amazing professionals were able to make that transition and how you can also do the same. Okay. And I'll lead and drive the session today. My name is Adeza Suleiman. I'm the founder of Tennalytics. I'm a technology expert with over a decade experience cutting across data analytics and management consulting. As the founder of Tennalytics and Amdari, another edtech company, I've helped well over close to 3,000 people to land jobs in high-paying career paths across multiple regions, from the US to the UK to Canada, across Europe, Africa, and so forth. I've worked as a data science consultant in the UK, lived and worked in the UK, currently live and work in Canada, and I've also worked for organizations in the US. I've worked as a data analyst for one of the largest privately owned energy conglomerates in sub-Saharan Africa, where I helped multiple companies under the group to become more data-driven and take data-driven decisions to scale growth, revenue, reduce losses, and so on. And of course, I've also worked as a data analytics consultant with FITC, owned by the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Bankers Committee. I worked across 5 different sectors, from financial services to energy to automobile, sports, educational technology, and I'll be sharing my amazing experience with every single one of you. All right, before we dive into the struggles of so many people in landing jobs, landing interviews, high-paying roles, I want to know where you're joining from. So just type into the chat if you're joining from the UK, joining from the US, joining from somewhere in Africa, type into the chat and let's know. So let's get more feedback in the chat. Just type into the chat. Let's know where you're joining from. Amazing. Nigeria. Temi Tokwe from the UK. Zugi from Zimbabwe. Hollywood, California. Michael, good to have you on board. Pretty Damsel from London. Yem from New York. Kelvin from the UK. Absolutely phenomenal. And that's the beauty of holding sessions like this. You get to interact with people from across the globe, the best of the best at the comfort of your home. Fantastic. Emmanuel from Germany, Chioma from the UK. All right. Now, the reasons why people struggle to land jobs. There are three major reasons, and I'm going to break it down in detail. Okay. And there's so many other reasons, but what I'll do is categorize them into these three broad categories. The reason why you struggle to land proper jobs, not just any type of job, because it's easy to get some type of jobs. If I want to get a job in the warehouse today, I'd probably apply to multiple jobs today. By Monday, Marks and Spencer would call me to come work in the warehouse, or one of, any other organization would say, come work in the warehouse. But how do you get a proper job? The first reason why people struggle to land jobs, proper jobs, they don't have the right skills and they don't have the right experience. Okay, to land a proper job, a job that is in high demand, you must have the right skills and the right experience to get the job. And the mistake a lot of people make is assume wrongly that because I've worked 5 years in the bank or I've worked as an accountant for the past 10 years, I can't get a job in these other different career paths. And that's the biggest mistake. The question you need to ask is, how do I get the skills? The right skills? How do I get the experience to compete for the best jobs available wherever I am? So that's the major reason. People don't have the right skills. They don't have the right experience. And the second reason is you don't apply to the proper jobs available. Of course, if you don't have the right skills and experience, you definitely would not apply to the jobs available. So there are so many jobs that are left unfilled every single year. In the UK, for example, especially in data-related roles, you have between 174,000 to 230,000 jobs that are left unfilled. Nobody fills those roles. Nobody applies with the right skills and experience to fill those opportunities because they don't apply. And number two, for those who apply, they don't have the right skills. They don't have the right experience. Now, what's the third reason? The third reason why people struggle to land jobs is simply because nobody knows you. Nobody knows how good you are. So they can't approach you to have a conversation. They can't invite you on LinkedIn to say, hey, I've been following you. I like your experience. I like your track record. Let's have a conversation. All right. And these are the three broad reasons why people struggle to land jobs. And I'm going to break them down one after the other. Okay. How do you ensure you get the right skills, the right experience? How do you start applying to jobs? Where to apply? How to apply? The entire application process to landing a job. How do you navigate that ecosystem? And how do you start getting people to know you? For everybody who joins the session today, you've seen Tennalytics somewhere. Either you saw us on LinkedIn, you saw us on Instagram, you saw us on Facebook, you saw our website, you saw something. All right. People need to know who you are in order to approach you to land a job. Because guess what? Only 40%, between 30 to 40% of jobs are gotten through direct applications. About 60% are gotten through referrals and also through headhunting. So how do you ensure that without applying to jobs directly, you still have opportunities? Okay. And these are the three things I'll be, dissecting today to help you understand how to position yourself as the best candidate for the job going forward for the rest, half of 2025, the second half of 2025. And my promise to you by the end of today's session is you would understand clearly what top organizations are looking for and how you can position yourself to land jobs in top organizations. All right, so let's dive in and let's break them down one after the other. And don't forget, I mentioned I would walk you through this process using case studies of real people who have done the exact thing I'm going to teach you today. They've listened, they've done the same thing, they've applied it, and they're thriving. They've gotten jobs and they're doing very well today. All right. So the question is, a lot of you would have this currently running through your mind. Adeza, what do you mean by proper job? What does a proper job mean? And where do I find them? A proper job is a job that is in high demand. It means that companies are looking for people to fill this role. You don't want to be scouring the internet for the jobs available. You want to know the jobs, the type of skills employers are hiring for today. If I have these skills, I can easily apply to numerous jobs available, get opportunities for interview, have the right preparation for those interviews, and eventually get in to that company to do that job. So high demand. This is not physically demanding. I don't have to go to the warehouse and pick boxes and pack boxes. I don't have to work in care because even though I don't want to. So shout out to all the care workers. However, what if I don't want to do care? Because I've seen so many people. They move from their different home countries, from Nigeria, from Ghana, and so on and so forth. And they have to go do care because they believe there are no other opportunities for them. So how do you ensure you find yourself in a high-paying career path where you can work from home at the comforts of your home and you still get to do your work and it's a high-paying job? That's a proper job, the job that gives you the opportunity to do that, all right? And of course, it must be relevant over the long term. And here, people make mistakes by jumping into what their friends are doing. So your friend got a job today as a UI UX designer or as a software developer. You jump into it simply because somebody else got that job. But the question you need to ask yourself is this job relevant? This career path, would it stay relevant over the long term? In the next 5 to 10 years, would I have to transition again? Or I'm in a career path that is increasing by demand every single day. All right. So this is what a proper job looks like. It cuts across these three characteristics. Okay. So what we do in order to select the best jobs available, the high demand jobs, the high paying jobs, the jobs that are relevant over the next 5 to 10 years and where to find them. For us at Tennalytics, we carry out a three-pronged approach. The first is we carry out job analysis. So we get data from the major job boards, from Indeed, from LinkedIn, from Glassdoor, CV Library, built-ins, UK Visa Jobs, Workopolis, ZipRecruiter, and so many, the top jobs, top job boards. We scrape jobs from them every single year. And what do? We analyze to find the jobs that have the highest frequency of demand. So which jobs are employers hiring for today? All right. So we do that analysis to see the jobs that have high demand. But we don't just focus on the demand alone because a job can be high in demand. However, it can be very difficult to get into. Okay. So take, for example, you want to become a blockchain engineer. I like using blockchain engineering as an example. It's in high demand. If you're a blockchain engineer today, you would really not struggle to land a job. All right. However, how do I get a blockchain engineering role? It's going to take me roughly between 2 to 2.5 years to learn the skills, embody the skills to apply to get this type of jobs. So we look at the high demand jobs and we filter them based on the jobs that are relatively easy to learn and easy to transition into. Okay, so which particular career path that is in high demand, and I can also learn the skills within the space of 6 months to 8 months or even less and apply to jobs and get those opportunities. So we do that analysis. And from there, we also ensure that we don't do this in isolation. So we look at reputable organizations like the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports. The World Economic Forum every 2 years would release a report called the Future of Jobs report. And this report shows you clearly the jobs that are in high demand and the jobs that will keep on growing in the next 5 to 10 years. All right. So we did our analysis right here. We saw the jobs that have the high frequency of demand. Employers are hiring for these roles. We kept them somewhere. We looked at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. And I've also kept the link so you have access to every single thing I'll share with you today, to my slides, to the link to the articles, link to the reports, link to videos I'm going to play for you today. So make sure you fill the attendance form to get access to all these materials, including the recording of this session at the end of today's session. All right. So the latest Future of Jobs report was released this year in January 2025. And I'm going to show you, I took an extract of the type of jobs that are not just in demand today, but would grow in demand over the next 5 to 10 years. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these jobs. So this is a screenshot and it shows you clearly at the left-hand side, you have the jobs that would grow in demand. And at the right-hand side, you have the jobs that will decline. Okay, so anybody who wants to transition and you don't read this report, you're likely going to find yourself in a big mess. You're likely going to find yourself in a career path that is declining in demand, but you dive in there because your friend recently got a job. And 2 years down the line, you're thinking of transitioning again because you realize that you don't have opportunities for growth because the role itself is already declining in demand. So what do you want to do? You want to focus on the left-hand side, the jobs that would grow in demand. All right. So we looked at this report and we identified that number one on the list of jobs that would grow in demand in the next 5 to 10 years, 2025 to 2030 and beyond, the data engineering role. So you'd see it clearly indicated, the big data specialists, the data warehousing specialists, the data engineers, the database and network professionals. All these roles are data engineering related. The data engineers are the professionals that get data from wherever data is generated, and they ensure that the data is available where that data is needed. So they make data available. They provide data in any organization. So data engineering, you find yourself in this career path, you are in a high demand, highly sought after professional. All right. Number two on the list, you'll see the data analytics and the data science professionals, AI machine learning specialists, and you'd also get to see the data analysts and the data scientists clearly indicated in the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report. So you're a data analyst, you're a data scientist, you are an AI, you're a machine learning specialist, ML ops, computer vision engineer, you are a business intelligence analyst. They all fall within the purview of data analytics to data science. All right. So you have these skills, you can easily get a job in any region, anywhere you find yourself. Then you have the business analyst. You have the digital transformation specialist, the process automation specialist. The business analysts are professionals that ensure that in any organization, their processes are optimized. If something takes 5 days to get completed, a process starts and ends in 5 days. The role of the business analyst is to identify, how do I optimize this process to ensure that I can reduce it from 5 days to 5 minutes? And most of the time, to take a process that takes 5 days, reduce it to 5 minutes, you need to implement some level of automation. And that's why the business analysts are process automation specialists, digital transformation specialist. So if you're a business analyst, you're a change management professional, you would find yourself in a career path that is in high demand. You have the cybersecurity professionals, clearly indicated security management specialists. You see that right there. Information security analysts. And of course, you also have the database and network professionals, because as a cybersecurity professional, you learn networking. That's the foundation of cybersecurity itself. Information security, and of course, security management specialists. The cybersecurity professionals ensure that the data, the network, the systems of organizations are protected from both internal and external threats. Organizations want you. It's a career path that is in high demand. If you find yourself in this career path, you won't struggle to land a job. And of course, you have the HR analysts, you have the data analysts, the data scientists in the form of business intelligence analysts, sales and marketing professionals, supply chain logistics specialists, and of course, management and organizational analysts. These are all analytics, data science related roles. As a supply chain logistics specialist, you can become a demand planner. You can become a supply chain analyst. All right. You can become a sales analyst, a market data analyst, and so on and so forth. So you find out that the opportunities are clearly where you have a high demand and the career path that will keep on growing over the next 5 to 10 years. And of course, you also have the data engineers who are the database architects. So we saw this report and we realized that the analysis we had carried out aligns clearly, perfectly with the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports. The career paths that are growing in demand and the career paths that are declining in demand clearly aligned with the initial job board analysis we carried out. So we didn't decide to stop there. What we decided to do was to also look at regional performance. So if I'm in the UK, if I'm in the US, or I'm in Canada, we looked at the 3 top economies to find out where are the opportunities in these 3 key areas. And in the UK, we looked at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. So if I get a job as a data engineer, for example, because I've seen in the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports that data engineering is in demand and would keep on growing in demand, can I get a job that would give me sponsorship opportunities in the UK? I get a COS, I get my skilled worker visa, and I can stay and work in the UK for the next 5 years and get my ILR. Okay, if I get a job as a data analyst, can I get sponsorship? So we looked at that. We looked at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. We looked at the US. We looked at the job titles with the highest H-1B acceptance rates. So which career path, which job roles would give me the opportunity for my employer to petition for a H-1B visa for me? And I can leave, work in the US. And also we looked in Canada, we looked at the provincial nominee programs across multiple provinces. We looked at the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the Saskatchewan Tech Pathway, the BC Tech Pilot, and so many other provincial nominee programs. And I'm just going to highlight a few. So we have a look at them together. All right. So let's start with the UK. So the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa, of course, like I mentioned earlier, all the links to the articles, the slides, the recording, ensure that you fill the attendance so you have access to everything at the end of today's session. So you'd see the skilled worker visa eligible occupation and codes. So what this simply shows you, it shows you the career path that are eligible for the skilled worker visa. Now, let's go to some of these career paths. And I'm going to scroll down to 2135, for example. So here you would see the cybersecurity professionals. So like we had seen in the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs report, as a cybersecurity professional in the UK, am I eligible for the skilled worker visa? Yes. So if I get a job as a cyber operational defense specialist, cybersecurity management and governance specialist, forensic computer specialist, and so many other areas that align with cybersecurity, will I get a skilled worker visa? The answer is yes. Okay. So many other roles. The 2-1, let's go to the data analyst role, 3544, very quickly. You'd see the data analyst clearly indicated. So if I'm a data analyst, am I eligible for the skilled worker visa? Yes. All right. And so many other roles, that aligns with the World Economic Forum. So you can clearly see that if I live and I work in the UK, I can easily get opportunities, get jobs in any of these areas. because they're not just in high demand, but they're also eligible for the skilled worker visa, which means there's a shortage for those roles. And for professionals who have the skills, they easily would get this job and also have access to sponsorship. You'd see the IT business analysts, I'm a data engineer, a data architect, IT business analyst, and so on and so forth. All right. Of course, in the US as well, if we click on this just to have a quick look, you'd see the list of the job titles with the highest H-1B acceptance rates. And if you scroll down, you start to see the same type of jobs: the data engineer, the data scientist, the project manager, the business analyst, and so on and so forth. Again, if you go into any of the priority streams in the provincial nominee programs in Canada, let's take the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, for example, you start to see the jobs that are eligible to give you an accelerated pathway to permanent residency. You'd see the HR managers, the HR professionals. You get to see the data scientists, the cybersecurity specialists, the business systems specialists, and these are your business analysts, the database analysts, database administrators. These are the data analysts. They all align to show you the career path that are currently in demand. Organizations are looking for you, and you also have access to permanent residency, sponsorship, H-1B petition, if you're in the US, for example. And what we did was to come up with 8 different career paths that if you find yourself in any of these career paths, you won't struggle to land a job because you'd find yourself in a career path that is in high demand. So before you start thinking of getting the skills, because one of the major problems why people struggle to land jobs is because they don't have the skills. All right. So before you start thinking of the next skill to get, you need to know the jobs that are in high demand, the jobs that would give me access to opportunities, the career path that are high paying. I can work remotely. If I need sponsorship, I can get sponsorship, and so on and so forth. And there are 8 career paths: the business analyst career path, the data analyst, the data scientist, the agile project manager, the data engineer, the cybersecurity analyst, the HR analyst, and last but not the least, the financial analyst. Okay, so before we move on, this is where it all starts from. You need to know the career path that are in high demand, the career path that will give you opportunities. Once you know this, the next step is to start learning the skills. Remember, the first problem why people don't get jobs, they don't have the skills, they don't have the experience. So now you know the career path to dive into, from the analysis down all the way to the World Economic Forum, Future of Jobs reports, to looking at different economies. A lot of you are joining from the UK. I've lived in the UK, I've studied in the UK, I've worked in the UK. What career path would give me opportunities in the UK? You want to look at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. And these are the 8 career paths that would give you opportunities and access to jobs. And before we move on, I want you to type into the chat, which of these 8 career paths are you interested in? Okay, if you're interested in data analytics, business analysis, you can be interested in more than one. So feel free, you can type 2 into the chat, but I'd like to know which of these career paths are you interested in? Okay, Emmanuel says HR analysts. Is it different from compensation? Compensation analysts is a subset of the HR analyst role. Precious says data engineering, fantastic. Folu says Scrum Master. Oji says business analyst, data analyst. Fantastic. Sheung HR analyst, Folashade HR analyst. BA walks span through different departments while ITBA focuses absolutely. ITBA is information technology business analyst. So you work within, you are the bridge between the technology team and the business itself. Okay, absolutely phenomenal. So that's the first step. And I want you to write it somewhere. If you have your notepad, you have your pen, note it down. Because this is the most important thing you want to do. Select the right career path. Once you've done that, You can then start thinking of learning the skill. How do I learn the skill? What's the best way for me to gain the skills as a data analyst? As a data scientist, what's the best way for me to gain data science related skills? And the beauty about this is you don't need to have prior experience. I studied industrial chemistry as an undergrad, and that's what I've done. I've worked as a data analyst for over about 12 years now. As a data analyst to data science, I've moved across multiple roles within the data ecosystem, but I didn't study anything related to tech. I didn't study computer science, and so many other people I would share their stories with you today. All right. So the beauty about this is you don't need to have prior experience, prior knowledge, prior education in any of these areas. Okay. So everything we're going to learn today will be summarized under three broad categories. We know the problem why people, the reason why people don't get jobs, the problems and the challenges they face. They don't have the right skills and experience. They don't apply to jobs, and nobody knows how good you are. These are the three key challenges. And we're going to summarize how to solve these challenges using this three-step method: learning the skill. So you have to learn an in-demand skill and focus, double down on learning the skills. One of the 8 career paths, you choose one and you focus on that. Be so good that it can't ignore you. All right. So that's the first thing you're going to do. You've all done that. You've selected one of the career path or two. For some of you who currently are not entirely sure if I should go for the data analyst or I should focus on HR analyst or data science, that's fine. But you choose one, focus on that, double down, learn the skills, be so good that they can't ignore you. And I'll show you how to learn the skills practically. Okay. Now, once you've done that, the next step is to package. And packaging is simply you presenting and positioning yourself as the best candidate for the job. Okay. And I'm going to buttress all these points using real life case studies, real people who have done exactly the same thing I'll share with you. Revamping your CV, having the right CV, optimizing your LinkedIn profile. All right. Usually what happens after a session like this, a lot of people go check, oh, who is Adeza Suleiman? So I see the notification on LinkedIn, 100 and something people viewed your LinkedIn profile. People need to know who you are. They need to know how good you are. They need to know what you do. If you want to be a data analyst and all you have posted on your LinkedIn profile relates to nothing related to data analytics, you'd struggle. Any recruiter would struggle to hire you. So the same person on LinkedIn has to be the same person that applied to that job. Okay, so how do you optimize your LinkedIn profile? Ensuring you also have a portfolio. And this is one of the biggest mistakes I've seen so many people make. You're a data engineer, you don't have a portfolio. You want to get a job in cybersecurity, you don't have a portfolio. You want to get a job as a project manager, you don't have a portfolio. So what's the evidence that you've done the job before to show that you are the right person to do the job for me? Because your portfolio shows the quality of the work you've done. And I'll show you what a portfolio looks like. Like I mentioned, I'll break this down step by step. You also need to have mentorship. Mentorship is simply working with somebody who has done exactly what you're trying to do. So you don't make their mistakes. The mistakes they made in the past, you don't make the same mistakes. Okay? Interview prep. How do you prepare for interviews? So imagine you have an interview today as a data analyst. Let's take, for example, you have an interview with NatWest in the UK for a data analyst role. How do you prepare for that interview? Are you the type that goes on YouTube, goes on ChatGPT, goes to the web to try to prepare? Or are you somebody who has access to a professional like me, for example, who has worked for over a decade in the data analytics ecosystem, worked in the same UK you want to get a job, worked in Canada, live in Canada, worked in Canada, lived in the UK, worked in the UK. Imagine getting prepared by a professional who has done that job, who knows the cultural nuances in the UK, preparing you for that interview. It's a whole different ball game. If all you've done is to prepare from YouTube, watching YouTube videos, and you compete with somebody who was prepared by a professional, you are likely going to fall short. All right. So you want to have the right interview prep to ensure you compete to get that job and land the job. And of course, when it comes to job references, do you have any reputable organization that can vouch for you that as a business analyst, you've done this for us, you've worked with these tools, you know how to use these technologies, you're good with Jira, you're good with Trello, good with Confluence, and so on and so forth. You can carry out requirements engineering and so on. Do you have an organization that can vouch for your competence? If you don't, then you struggle to also land and keep that job. And of course, you need to have on-the-job support. You are always going to find problems. You would stumble on challenges when you eventually get that job. All right. So when you get the job and you stumble on a problem you can't solve, do you have somebody to fall back on and say, hey, this is a problem I'm facing. How do I navigate this space? And that's what on-the-job support is all about. Once you've done this, then you move to apply. Okay. Applying like a machine, but with precision. First things first, a lot of people don't know how to apply. They don't know where to apply. All right. They don't know the numbers, the number of jobs they need to apply to. So in the first instance, when you're applying to a job or applying to multiple jobs like a machine, you need to know that on the average, you need to apply to about 267 quality applications for you to have one offer. So to get one offer from a company, you need to have applied to about, on the average, 267 job applications, and not just any type of job application. You need to have tailored your CV to each one of the 267 jobs. So I don't just call this putting in the volume, we call it putting in quality volume. Quality volume. So every single application is tailored. Your CV is tailored to that job so that you go past the ATS, you get called for an interview, and you give yourself a fighting chance to land the job. So if I know that I have 267 quality applications and I don't know how to tailor my CV, then that's a big problem. So a lot of people, the mistake they make is they take one CV and apply to multiple jobs. They do the easy apply on LinkedIn. They do the easy apply on read.co.uk and so on and so forth. And they're surprised why they don't get opportunities. All right. So when you tailor your CV, you put in 10 to between 8 to 10 applications every single day. And of course, you also need to have access to the hidden job markets and the paid job boards. All right. So if you're applying to LinkedIn, applying to ZipRecruiter, applying on to jobs on Indeed, Glassdoor, you would get the exact same results everybody else is getting. Nothing different. All right. However, if you have access to the paid job boards, you would get access to jobs that very few people would have access to because very few people pay for job boards. All right. I've asked numerous thousands. Whenever I have a one-on-one with you, I ask the question, do you apply on any paid job board? And the answer is always no. So if you have access to a paid job board, you have access to jobs that millions don't have access to. So you compete to get better opportunities that your counterparts don't have access to. All right. And I'll show you what that looks like practically. And when you put these three together, that's what gets you the job. Okay. And we're going to break them down in the subsequent slides. All right. So remember, you must learn the skill, be so good that it can't ignore you. You must package by presenting, positioning yourself as the best candidate for the job. And you must apply in volume with precision, which is quality volume. That's what gets you the job. Have access not just to the conventional, traditional, free job platforms, but also the paid job boards and the hidden job market. Okay. So you don't have the skill. How do you get the skill? Employers want only one thing from you. They want your competence. So if the number one problem is having the right skills and having the right experience, you know clearly that employers want you for your competence. They want to ensure that they're hiring the right person. And the mistake people make is they focus and chase certificates rather than focusing on competence. At Tennalytics, we call it competence over credentials. Okay, so when you chase that next master's, the next master's degree, you chase the next certificate, it doesn't help you in any way to land the job. Okay, I've seen so many people, I've been in that same situation. I studied in the UK myself. I did a master's in the UK. Your credentials play has zero, nothing in giving you an advantage to landing that job. Employers want only one thing from you, your competence. And your competence is a combination of your skills and your experience. And I'm going to show you how to get the skills right now. And I'll show you how to get the experience as well. The experience is always more difficult. A lot of people have no clue that you can gain experience without getting a job. Okay, because the big question is, how do I get experience if I don't have the job? So is the chicken and an egg situation. Did the egg come before the chicken, or did the chicken come before the egg? All right. So you can gain experience without landing a job and showcase to employers that I have the experience you're looking for. I have the experience you want, and I have evidence of that experience, and eventually have access to landing the job. So how do we get the competence required to land a job? First of all, getting the skill. You have to learn the skills and learn in a project-based environment, working on real-world case studies. And I'll show you how this works practically. How do you work on real-world case studies? Okay, that's how you must learn if you want to get the right skills. A lot of people want to become data analysts by watching YouTube. That's the biggest mistake you would ever make. They also make the mistake of learning in 100% self-paced environment. Self-paced meaning that I only get to watch videos. I don't have access to sitting down with a professional to walk me through problems, help me solve the challenges I'm facing, the problems I'm facing. And I can ask the question of the why. Why am I doing this? Or why am I using this function? Why am I using index and match instead of using the VLOOKUP? Okay, why am I using a linear regression model instead of using a lasso regression model? Asking the why is very important to understanding how to do the job. And you must learn in a project-based environment, taking the skills you've learned and applying it to real-world projects. So what we do at Tennalytics is, my experience, for example, we couch them into case studies. I've solved these problems before in real companies. We couch them into case studies, change the name of the companies, and also change the data set due to data privacy. And we give those projects to you to work on those same projects. And we do this across the entire programs we offer at Tennalytics. So if you want to be a data analyst, you'd work on projects that I had worked on maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and so on and so forth. So you're working on real projects that would equip you with the skills. So, and this is how you must learn in a self-paced environment. And you also get to work in a live instructor-led class. It must be a combination of the two. You can't do 100% self-paced, 100% Udemy, 100% Coursera. I've been there myself. I've done it, and I got nowhere working in 100% self-paced environment, because you have a problem, you send a message on, let's say, YouTube, for example. The person that's posted that video will take the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks to respond to you. And guess what? You can't move on if you don't solve that problem. Okay, so you need to have the opportunity to interact with a real person in a class that will show you the problems you're facing, share your screen, let me see the problems you have, and give you solutions, real-time solutions. Okay, so we're going to go into the classroom. You'd see what the self-paced class looks like. You'd see what a live instructor-led class also looks like. And when you do this, you gain the right skills for that job. All right. So learning the skills, if you've been doing this before, watching videos, tons and tons of videos, you are doing it wrong. okay, you need to have both the self-paced and a live instructor-led class. So let's quickly go to a classroom, and I'm going to show you what it looks like very quickly. So let's look at the data analytics classroom, all right? The data analytics classroom, let's go to one of the classes, and you'd see what the live class looks like. So this is an Excel live class. So I'm doing data analytics. One of the skills, one of the tools and technologies I'd have to learn is Microsoft Excel. If you go to the class material, one of the first things you'd see is a case study. All right. This is a case study where you solve a problem for an automobile company. The name of the company is Rev Autos. It's a real life project. The only difference is the name of the company has been changed and the data sets has also been changed. So when I worked in the automobile sector while I was in the UK, I worked on this problem. I changed the name of the company, changed the data set, and you also get to work on the same problem. All right. You'd see the problem statements, the aim of the project. You get to see the data dictionary, and eventually you get to solve the problem using what? Microsoft Excel. So you're not just watching videos and writing formulas and functions, but you are learning and solving real world problems. Okay. And you solve that in class. So every single class, you have a recording, an amazing facilitator who would walk you through the nitty-gritty of the problem that you'll solve in that class. If you miss the class, you can always go back, watch the videos, watch the recording, and you have access to every single thing that happened in class on that day. Okay, so this is what a live class looks like. You can always stop your trainer, ask questions. Oh, I'm trying to do what you're doing. I made this mistake. What do I do? All right. You can always stop to ask questions. Get real time feedback. So this is how you solve real world problems, learning in class with your facilitator. All right. So this is what a live class looks like. Every single time you have access to the recording. If you have a capstone project where you have another project within a different industry, you solve that problem and you get to work on different problems in a live class. Then you also have the self-paced. So let me show you what the self-paced class looks like. So when you start learning, you know exactly how you need to learn. If all you're doing is watching videos today and you don't have access to live real projects where you can learn at your convenience in a self-paced class and also get to work with a professional in a live class, then you're doing it wrong. You'd struggle. You'd get there, but it would take you probably the next 2 years to complete that because you'd make the same mistakes I made. I learned things that were irrelevant, wasted a lot of time doing the exact same thing I'm saying you shouldn't do. So if you go that route, you might get to where you want to get to, but it will take you longer than your counterparts. So for anybody who is in a Tennalytics program, you have access to a dashboard. If you go to your dashboard, you have access to the program you've registered for. All right. So let's assume you registered for data analytics. All you need to do is come here, click on continue learning, and it takes you into the self-paced portion of your class. So here you can watch your videos at your convenience. You come to your dashboard. I want to learn something on Excel operations. I want to know how to move or copy data. I want to know how to hide or unhide columns. I can click on this and watch the video, practice on my own, and solve problems any day, anytime, anywhere. So this is the self-paced platform. If I want to learn something around, let's say I want to know how to do the index match or the X lookup. I come in and click on this video and it shows me exactly how to solve the X lookup. And on my own, I watch the video, I practice, and I try to do exactly what I see in the video to solve that type of problem, knowing how to use the X lookup. So this is how the self-paced class works. Okay, so you solve problems on your own any day, anytime, anywhere. And then you have your live classes where you join a live class, work with your facilitator and solve problems together in a project-based environment. And I'll show you why all these projects you complete, they all constitute your experience. And I'll show you exactly where you warehouse all these projects. So when that company wants to hire you and they want evidence that you've done the job, you have somewhere, you have all these projects and you can show them that this is what I've done. You have access to it. They can see the quality of the jobs, the type of projects, the type of problems you've solved, and that gives you access to the jobs faster than the other person without evidence that they've done it before. All right. So when you've learned the skills in this way, the next thing is for you to start to gain experience. Gain experience. Gaining experience, showing that you have the experience is even more important than having the right skills. And I've seen this happen so many times. The best in the use of Excel, you have somebody who knows A to Z of Excel. They might not get that job if they don't have evidence that they've done the job before. And let me ask this question. I always like asking it in all my sessions. Imagine you want to buy a couch and you're considering two people to buy the couch from. Okay, the first person is a carpenter who has a certificate. The certificate shows that he's gone to carpentry school, very good. He was the best in carpentry school. And you have the second person, carpenter B, who has a showroom. You can walk into the showroom of carpenter B. You have access to see the type of couches he has, constructed and the different colors, the quality. You can touch it, you can feel it before deciding. The big question is, who would you trust to make your couch for you? Carpenter A, who has a certificate, or Carpenter B, who has a showroom? I want you to type into the chat A or B. Emmanuel says B. The two Emmanuel says B. Daily says definitely B. Now the question is why? Why would you go for B? Let me know why you would go for B. Linda says B. Zach Storm says B. Why would you go for B? I just need one person to type. Type into the chat. I can see what he's made. Absolutely. Experience. Uche says experience. Now, Oji, I beg your pardon, says experience. Evidence. Seeing is believing. I love that, Janet. Seeing is believing. I can see his work. I know how good he is. I know the quality of the work, he's done. But a lot of people position themselves as carpenter A. Oh, I need to get that next certificate. I need to get that next master's. I need to get that next this or that. Chasing the paper qualifications. Your paper qualification has nothing to do with how well you perform on the job. Your ability to show that you've done it before is all the employer wants from you. So remember, competence over credentials. Your skills and experience will trump any credential any day, anytime. So how do you start to build experience? That's where you have to get into the second part, which is packaging. Okay, so now you've learned the skills. You've watched videos in a self-paced environment. You've learned from the best in the industry. You've worked with a real professional, joining a live session just like today, where you have the opportunity to stop the facilitator, ask questions. The facilitator can ask you to share your screen. They can see the problems you face and give you immediate real-time feedback on what to do. You've learned the skills. The next question is, how do you position yourself as the best candidate as carpenter B with a showroom? All right. And this is where building a portfolio becomes very important. You must have a portfolio. You must have evidence. Like Jeanette said, evidence that you've done it before. Okay. And I'll show you what the portfolio looks like practically and how all those projects you complete in class, how they form a part of your portfolio at the end of the day. All right. So I'm going to show you, these are multiple portfolios. And remember, you have access to check out all these links, click on them, interact with these portfolios when you fill the attendance form. So if you haven't filled the attendance form, my colleagues would send this from time to time. Make sure you fill so you have access to all these materials, the recording, you have access to my slides. You can click on any of the links. And this is Victor. who is a data scientist, he has a portfolio. Victoria, who is a data analyst. Lemuel, who is a business analyst. Gad, who is a data engineer. Okay, so you have multiple portfolios right here. And I'll show you one of them, practically how your class projects forms a part of your portfolio and how that becomes evidence that you've done the job, just like Carpenter B. Okay, so when you've done that, you also have internship. You must also have the opportunity to gain internship. Your internship is where you are done with classes. You're not learning in a live class anymore. But now you move from the classroom environment into the real world environment where you collaborate with professionals. Okay, you collaborate with professionals, you work in a cross-functional team. So a data scientist would work with a data analyst, would work with a business analyst. A project manager would work with a business analyst, a scrum master, a web developer to solve a common problem. Because in the real world of work, you don't work in silos. You work together to solve a common problem. So after you've built your portfolio, what next? You need to have gone through internship, work in a cross-functional team, gain interpersonal skills, and solve problems together. So your internship typically with us is for 2 months. And you don't intern with Tennalytics, the same company that trained you. You intern with our sister company called Amdari. And Amdari is based in the UK, operates out of London in the UK, and also operates out of Alberta in Canada. So when you get to an interview and you hear people say, oh, they want UK work experience, guess what? You now have UK work experience. Oh, they want experience in North America. You have what? North American work experience. Oh, they need Canadian work experience. Guess what? Amdari operates out of Canada, Alberta in Canada. So the internship gives you access not just to gain interpersonal skills, work in a cross-functional team, but you have the opportunity to list that on your CV and your LinkedIn. And I'll show you how this works, like I mentioned. Let's use a practical case study of this gentleman called Victor. Okay. Now, Victor was in this class in data science. Okay. And Victor, let's go to Victor's portfolio first of all. All right. So let's go to Victor's LinkedIn profile. And then we go to Victor's portfolio and we get to see the amazing stuff Victor has done. So let me just type Victor. So the first thing you notice when you get to Victor's portfolio is there is no doubt. You have no doubt about what Victor does. He's a data scientist, AI-powered workflow automation expert, and so on and so on. All right. And this didn't happen by chance. This is a LinkedIn profile that was optimized. Okay, we're still going to get to LinkedIn optimization and why that is important. All right. So one of the first things you'd see is the link to get to Victor's portfolio. You can click on that. It takes you to his portfolio immediately. Or you can click on the link that you have on the slide. It's exactly the same thing. It takes you to the portfolio. But let's click on the link and let's see what Victor's portfolio looks like very quickly. So you'd see Victor, you have a quick introduction about what he does. He's a data scientist, data analyst, business intelligence. You have his core competencies and so on. Okay. Now, when you go to the work he's done, the project he's completed, I want to use one as a case study, the loan default prediction. Let's click on this. So it takes us to this project called loan default prediction. And this project was carried out by Victor. He completed this project where he built a machine learning model that can predict customers that are likely going to default on their loans. Okay, so when they get money, they borrow money from the bank or from a credit union or so on, how can the credit union, apart from just using the credit score, how can they tell that this customer is likely going to default using different attributes? The customer's age, the customer's location, the customer's marital status, and so on, and the credit score, obviously. How can you determine if this customer would likely default or pay back the loan? Okay, so you'd see the problem statement. You can read all the things about the project, the aim of the project, the methodology, and so on. But more importantly, what the employer wants to see is the Python notebook. How did you build it? Because anybody can write stuff. You can use ChatGPT to write anything today, okay? But how did you solve this problem? They want to look at your notebook. So if I click on this, it takes me to the notebook where I can see the different codes that Victor wrote. The libraries, how he imported his libraries, okay? How did Victor check for his missing values under the data cleaning process? How did he carry out his exploratory data analysis? And so on and so forth. They can see clearly the different steps that Victor took to solve this problem. This is the exact same thing as you walking into Carpenter B's showroom. You walk into Carpenter B's showroom and you can touch the couch, see the quality, and you decide that this is the right person to make my couch. Any employer that looks at Victor's portfolio knows that he's the right person to do the job. Okay, but how did he come about all these projects? Let's go to the classroom. Okay, now Victor was in this class, a machine learning live class. Okay, and this is the importance of learning in a project-based environment. If you go into the class material and you see the case study that was solved in that particular class, is a case study on Loanalytics Incorporated loan default prediction. So this exact same project was what Victor completed. All right. So you'd see the workflow, how to solve the problem, and so on. The problem statements, the rationale for the problem. So you see exactly what this problem is all about. And then this case study was solved in class. So for anybody who joined this class or you came back to watch the recording, you have access to see exactly what happened. So your facilitator, Opeyemi, walked you through that case study. You solved it together. You had the opportunity to ask questions. And at the end of the day, you completed the project. And what do you do after you complete a project like that? You add that project into your portfolio. And that was exactly what Victor did. And exactly the same thing you also have to do after learning the skills. All the projects you work on, you warehouse them into a portfolio. That's evidence that you've done the job. So you all said Carpenter B is the right person to go for in making the couch. The same way the employer would also decide that you are the right person to go to hire for that job because you have evidence that you've done the job. So your portfolio is evidence. It's your workshop. It's your showroom, just like Carpenter B. And of course, all the projects you also saw during your internship becomes part of your portfolio. So when it comes to learning the skills and gaining the experience, this is how you gain experience. Building a portfolio to warehouse all the projects that you've worked on, you must work in a project-based environment. Then you join the internship, solve problems together in a cross-functional team, upload those same projects into your portfolio. And there are multiple portfolios right here. We might not be able to look into all of them because of time, but this is Victoria. Victoria joined data analytics and she has multiple projects, deep care hospital analysis. Anybody can come here, click on this link, and you see exactly what Victoria has built. Okay, this is working with a healthcare data, helping the hospital solve the problem of patients having to wait too long to see the doctor. And she built this using Tableau. And anybody who comes here, the potential employer that would hire Victoria can click and unclick and interact with the dashboard. Okay, if I deselect everything right here, everything disappears. If I want to see data for only Q1, I can click on Q1 and I'll see the data for only Q1. And this is what your portfolio must look like, the evidence that you can do the job. All right, so that's solving problem number one, which is I don't have the right skills. I don't have the experience to get the job. To get the right skills, remember, learn in a project-based environment, learn in a self-paced environment, and also a live class. Okay, so don't learn by just watching videos. Learn in a live class where somebody who is a professional who has done that job can correct you, tell you what you're doing wrong, solve the problem together. Then you must show evidence that you've done that job. Employers always want you for your competence, your skills, and your experience. Now, we're going to look at a couple of success stories. Like I mentioned, Ramat did exactly the same thing I've just mentioned in learning the skill and also building the portfolio, working on in a project-based environment. But who is Ramat? Ramat moved from a customer service role to a business analyst role in the UK. Currently on sponsorship, working with the NHS as a business architect. As a business architect, she joined our business analysis program, completed the program, and today she used to work as a customer service rep. She moved from that role to a business architect role, and she used everything I just explained, learning the skills in business analysis, tailoring her CV, got mentorship, prepped for interview, applied to jobs, and eventually she landed a job in October 2023 as a business architect with the NHS. I'm going to show you Ramat's LinkedIn profile, but I want you to also listen to Ramat. But before we listen to Ramat, let's check out Ramat's LinkedIn very quickly. Okay. Ramat's absolute phenomenal professional. So that's Ramat Bankole. Ramat works with the Midlands Partnership NHS Trust as a business architect. Before she got this job, she worked as a customer resolution agent with British Gas. Okay, so if you had issues with your electricity, because when I was in the UK, British Gas was my utility provider. So you call the customer service and Ramat would pick up to help you solve that problem. That was the type of job she was doing. She didn't want to do customer service anymore. And she knew she was never going to get sponsorship with her customer service role. Luckily for Ramat, her cousin had gone through our data analytics program and also got a job. So her cousin referred her to Tennalytics. She came to us, joined our business analysis program, and she got this job as a business architect with the NHS. Okay. But I want you to listen to Ramat yourself. All right. So remember, I talked about the fact that our session today would also be driven by case studies, and it's important you listen to Ramat. It's a full interview, but I'm going to break it down to just about 4 minutes. So listen to Ramat for 4 minutes, and what you'd learn from Ramat and the inspiration you'd also get from Ramat will be worth your while. Okay. So I want you to hear from Ramat yourself, how she was able to get this job and what she needed to do to land the job. The link to the full interview is on my slide. So make sure you fill the attendance if you haven't done that, so you have access to all the materials like I mentioned. Okay. So let's hear what Ramat has to say. So we had the interview. Nezerville hosted the interview. That's me right there, and that's Ramat in the middle. So I'm just going to play about 4 minutes of the video. I want you to listen and enjoy what Ramat has to say. Okay, so sit back, relax, and let's hear Ramat.
I came in as a dependent to my husband. He was a student, so I was dependent at the time.
How was your journey? How did it start? I hear that coming in as a dependent is not that easy. Having to find a job. What kind of jobs did you even start with?
Well, to be fair, it was quite good for me because I didn't have to do care, but I know so many people that had to do care, warehouse, and all of that. But I started as a customer service rep for British Gas. So British Gas is like an energy providing company that's based in the UK. So suppliers of energies and gas. So I was working with them as their customer service rep, answering calls, queries, about the product and services they offer. So that was what I did for about a year when I got here until my breakthrough with Tennalytics.
I'm very interested in that breakthrough. Tell me about that breakthrough. How did it start? How did you hear of that? And what gave you the conviction to try them out? What is your experience like?
Okay, let me start from how I heard about them. So I was talking to my cousin. My cousin is in the UK as well. She did data analytics with Tennalytics. So I was telling her because I was on mat leave at the time and I didn't just want my mat leave to just go like that, being that I wasn't even really interested in the customer service role. I wanted to be more. So I talked to her and said I was looking at doing something like into around business analytics that does she know anybody any edu company just like Tennalytics that I can
Also,
enroll with and all of that. And she said, "Oh, that's really good because she just finished a data analytics course with Tennalytics and all of that. That I'll really enjoy them." She mentioned Adiza. She mentioned a few people from Tennalytics that really helped her during her own time. I was like, "Is it really good?" She was like, "It's really, really good." And then she said there used to be a master class that I can attend that and just hear from them first before I fully enroll with them and all of that. I'm
going.
like, okay, yeah. That's fine. She sent me the link to the master class, and then that was it for me. Like, I didn't even have to think twice. Immediately I did the master class, I enrolled immediately because I knew this was what I wanted. They were just spilling it. Adiza was the one, I remember. It was the one that held the master class with one other person, and it was telling us all the benefits, all the things that we will learn in the space of about 3 months, how it will be practical enough to carry that knowledge into our job. Like when we eventually land the job, that's enough experience. And to be honest, it was practical enough because that was all that helped me. So that was how I began my journey with Tennalytics. I enrolled with them and started around it was around April, if I can remember
Yeah.
correctly, April 2023.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're dropping the link.
That was when I started with Tennalytics. And it was supposed to be 3 months, 3 months, 1 month for the theoretical aspect, and then I think 2 months for the practical. You have like a group where you practicalize all the things that you've been taught. They give you a project, they assign a project to your group, and then you partake, you do all the things that you would actually do on the job, you do it with them. So that took about 2 months or so. But I tell you for a fact, I started immediately after my first month with them. I already knew what I wanted. So I started enrolling for jobs and all of that. I'd not even finished my practicals before I got a job as a business analyst in one of the trusts in NHS. And that's where I still work currently. So it was that good. It was that good. All the things they taught us, all the practicals that I started to learn was that just prep.
Time. Okay, but that's Ramat and that story. Ramat mentioned something very profound. And at the end of the interview, sorry guys, I think my leg tripped on something and my modem disconnected. Okay. So let me just go back. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Hi, Bucci. If you can hear me clearly, just type in a yes. Okay, fantastic, Oji. All right. So let's get cracking. Let's get back into the session. I'm not sure where you stopped hearing me. I just saw my screen go off and then I had to just come back right. I had to come right back. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. So that's Ramat. I was talking about Ramat's story. ISOCIBE, we can go ahead and spotlight me, or let me just do that myself. All right, fantastic. So that's Ramat's story. Like I mentioned, Ramat, the same way, she had no clue. She wasn't sure what to do, but she joined a free session, a master class, just like this, understood the career path she wanted to move into. She was a customer service professional, and she moved from that role to a business analyst role. Okay, that's how you solve the problem of skills and experience. Ramat is a proper case study. Now, when nobody knows how good you are, one of the other reasons why people struggle to land jobs, I'm going to explain how to navigate that path as well. How do you put yourself out there? You can't want to become something and people don't know you do that thing, or they don't know how good you are. It's like you being that carpenter, but you don't have a showroom to show people that you've done this before. All right. So always put yourself in a position where opportunities can find you. Toot your horn as loud as you can. Okay. Brag about what you know. Post very often. And the thing you want to do to crown it all is build a personal brand. You must have a personal brand online. If I'm looking for, say, Audrey, for example, and I go to Audrey's LinkedIn profile, and Audrey wants to become, say, a data analyst, I must see data analytics related posts on your LinkedIn. Okay, so you must build a personal brand online for you to thrive. That gives you visibility, gives you access to interviews. And this is where you don't need to apply to jobs and you get jobs, you get recruiters reaching out to you on LinkedIn directly, and you have opportunities from there. We're going to look at two case studies for this particular scenario, the importance of building a personal brand online. We're going to look at Ene, and we're also going to look at GAD. Ene got a job in April this year, April 2025, as a data scientist. GAD also got a job with the NHS as an ETL developer, an ETL and data warehousing developer with the NHS, also on full visa sponsorship. So we looked at the eligible occupations for the skilled worker visa. We started from there. GAD wanted sponsorship. So when I'm done with school, what happens next for me? I need to land a job and I want to have access to visa sponsorship. I want to stay back in the UK, work in the UK, get sponsorship. And that was what GAD got. All right. But he didn't just get it by throwing things on the wall and hoping that something sticks. What GAD did was a proper strategy in ensuring that he landed and got that job. Okay, and I'm going to show you the importance of building the brand online, how Ene and GAD use this to land jobs. Okay, I'm going to start with Ene. We're going to go to Ene's profile, and I'll come back to show you how Ene landed a job and the importance of also having the opportunity to list Tennalytics and Amdari on your profile. Okay, so let's go to Ene Ojaide. Absolutely phenomenal lady. Again, once again, if you go to Ene's profile, you'd have no doubts that Ene is a data scientist because you see our headline clearly put together, and this is also your LinkedIn optimization. So one of the things you do under your packaging from your CV to your LinkedIn, we ensure that you must have an optimized LinkedIn profile. If anybody goes online on LinkedIn to search your name, they must find you. Your name must pop up as a data scientist. If I want to hire a data scientist and I go on LinkedIn, I type in data scientist, I filter for data scientists in the UK, NS profile would pop up. Okay, so that's part of your LinkedIn optimization, but it doesn't stop there. If you go to NS work experience, what do you find? data scientist with Tennalytics, data scientist with Amdari. Remember, I talked about your internship. Your internship would be with Amdari, showcasing that you have the experience to do the job. Okay, now let's go to the reason why Ene got multiple opportunities. So let's go to Ene's post, and this is something we show you and we also tell you to do, and you must do it if you want to land a job. Ene would post every single day. If you want to land a job, I must have no doubt that you are actually the right person for the job. So if you look through Ene's profile, you'd see her talking about what she did relating to data science, how she optimized her CV, and all the type of projects she's worked on. And she positions herself as an expert on in this particular career path. Okay. So, what do I forget? Why do I forget everything I learned just after a short break? So she posts something on this. What is cross validation? Why it's important to always use external resources to get to where you want to get to. Okay. Whenever she learns anything new, she would post it online, and you see all the things she does. 1 week ago, she made this post. 2 weeks ago, she made this post. 3 weeks ago, she made this post. Constant posts every single time about what she learned, scikit-learn, pandas, SQL as a data scientist. Okay, and she keeps on posting. Now, something very interesting. Here she's saying that in the first half of 2025, I received 22 interview invites without applying. Do you know the reason why Ene received 22 interview invites without applying? It's simply because of what she's done with her LinkedIn. When you talk about the career path you are interested in, you post content regularly. The keywords adds to your profile. So when anybody types that keyword, so let's take, for example, Ene, has talked about scikit-learn multiple times. When somebody types and indicates in the criteria, I want to hire a data scientist that knows scikit-learn, your profile would pop up. And when they see what you've done, what you talk about, they know you're the right person for that job. Okay. So she talked about how she got 22 interviews the first half of 2025, and that led her to landing a job in April this year. Okay. So, of course, you'd see she talked about I optimized my LinkedIn profile for trust. Okay. My banner, my keywords. She talked about all the things she did, which are the things we teach you on how to do in optimizing your LinkedIn profile. And she was also saying, if you need help getting interviews, try Tennalytics. Tell them what you need. So this is somebody she's walked that path, and today she's landed a job. How did she get this? She had to put herself out there. She built a personal brand on LinkedIn to gain visibility. The interview she got, she didn't need to apply to them. Okay. She got them through her LinkedIn optimization. Very important. So let's get back to the slide. And that's Ene right there. Ene completed her program with us in December 2024. She got that job in April 2025 as a data scientist. And this was the message, the conversation with Ene before she went for the interview. And she was telling her facilitator at that time, it's by 11:45. I got another email this morning with a Google Meet link. Okay. And he said, all right, best of wishes. And this is where she sent, I got the offer. Okay. So now, when Ene got the offer, the next thing any organization would want from you is your reference. Who is that company that can vouch, a reputable organization that can vouch that Ene, all these things you say you can do, where have you done it before? So the organization would reach out for reference, and this was the reference they sent out. Reference for Ene or Jaide, Hayadeza Suleiman. Please provide a reference for Ene. Okay, clicked on this, filled all the details, sent in the reference, and this is where, after sending, this was on the 22nd of April, 2025, and I got a response after sending on the 25th of April saying that, hi Adeza, NS said, thank you for providing an everlasting reference via Zinc. So when you get that offer, the company will do their due diligence. They'll do their due diligence. They want to find out, do a background check. Okay, can you use these skills? You say you are this good. Where have you done the things you said you've done? You say you can use pandas, you can use you can use Jupyter Notebook, you can write Python codes and so on. You know different libraries. Where have you utilized, where have you used these different tools and technologies? So they must and they will always send in for a reference request. Now, and of course, if you go to NS profile, one of the first things you would also see is her portfolio. So before any recruiter gets to talk to Ene, if they come here, click on contact info, they can see Ene's portfolio. So if I click on this, just like I showed you for Victor, you also get to see Ene's portfolio, the project she has worked on. And they can get to see how good Ene is. This is Ene's showroom, just like the carpenter who has a showroom. So anybody can come in here, click on any of these projects and see the type of work Ene has done. All right, we're going to go to the second gentleman. His name is Gad. Gad used the same model, ensuring that people know you and they know how good you are. So let's go to Gad's profile on LinkedIn, first of all, and then we'll come back and talk about how Gad landed the job. So you click on Gad. All right, so one of the first things you'd also see when you go to Gad's profile is Azure Data Engineer with Tennalytics. Gad joined us sometime in, I think, around July 2024. He landed this job in January 2025 this year as a data warehouse and ETL developer with the NHS, also on full visa sponsorship. Okay, how did Gad get this opportunity? He didn't just get this job by doing the random thing, the random stuff everybody else does. No, the same way when he started, the first thing you get to understand, we get to tell you your first line of action, start putting yourself out there, build in public, learn in public, share what you're learning, let people know who you are and how good you are. Okay, so I'm going to click on this link. You have access to the link when you get my slide as well, so make sure you fill the attendance as usual. If I click on this, it takes you to the posts Gad started. So when he joined last year, 2024, he made a post excited to launch a 12-week data engineering challenge. Okay, so he made this post about what he was about to get into. Let's demystify data engineering together and so on. Stay tuned, Tennalytics. Okay, so he tagged us on this post, and this was the beginning of his journey. And if you see all the other posts Gad has made over the last couple of months, you get to realize that they are all related to data engineering. All right, which is the best way to go. Okay, so you scroll all the way down, you see some of the projects he's completed. This was a project he completed while he was in the program with Tennalytics. You'd see he tagged Tennalytics right here, and you have access to click on this, and it takes you to that particular project in his portfolio. And any recruiter that sees this can see that, oh, this gentleman knows how to use Python. Very good. How did he do his data cleaning? Everything is here in his portfolio, his transformation, and so on and so forth. So they would have no doubts that Gad is the right person to do that job. Okay, so everything he posted when he started up until he landed that job were all related to data engineering. So remember, always build in public. Always show the world how good you are. Show them you have the skills. And before you even put in that application, they'll reach out to you to get to organize an interview. So he joined us, completed his program. By October last year, he got the offer to start this job in January 2025. And that's what he's been doing for the past 7 months, also on full visa sponsorship. And that's God's story. Just like Ene, God started in July 2024. He was a student in the UK at that time, finished, got his certificate from us in July, worked on his CV, built a portfolio, did all the amazing stuff I've said so far, put in applications. We prepared him for his interview, and we also provided his reference as well, because the NHS would also reach out to say, hey, we want to offer God a job. We want you to confirm that God has the skills to do this job because he has used those skills with you before. Okay. So in January 2025, he landed the job as an ETL developer, data warehouse and ETL developer with the NHS, also on sponsorship. And this was God's reference. Okay, this came in sometime around 25th of October, 2024, to Mr. Deza Suleiman. Dear Deza Suleiman, we need a reference for God. We provided a reference, clicked on this link, provided a reference for God, and he's gotten that job and is still on that job. Now, when nobody knows you, you now know what to do. When they don't know how good you are, you now know how to position yourself as the right person for that job. Build a portfolio. Make sure you also share your journey on LinkedIn. Very important. Then when it comes to applying to jobs, you have to apply, tailor every application, and you never use a CV to apply to multiple roles. Never use a CV. Okay, so make sure you apply to jobs using different CVs that have been tailored. Then you also ensure that you put in the right volume, 10 jobs per day, 8 to 10 jobs per day. Every single day, you grind it out and have access to the hidden job boards and the paid job boards. So one of the things we do, because for a lot of people, they can't go back to pay for job boards. So we take that stress off you. And what we do is we pay to those job boards, we subscribe, and we scrape data every single week and send them to you. Okay. And I'll show you an example of how this plays out in your classroom. So if you go to a typical classroom, so let's go to the same data analytics classroom I shared earlier. If you go all the way straight to where you have your important materials, one of the things you'd see is you'll see how to tailor your CV, which is a session. I'll show you how to tailor your CV. So every single application must be tailored. And this is only after we have revamped your CV for you. So you upload your CV right here. We revamp and work on your CV and send you the industry standard CV that is keyword optimized, ATS optimized, and you have the right CV. Then we show you how to tailor your CV. Okay, so all you have to do is come in here, click on this link. You'd see my face walking you through how to tailor your CV to jobs. Okay, so if you click on that, you'd see this is me teaching you practically. You go to real job boards, get the job, and you tailor your CV side by side, how to tailor your CV to jobs. And you see me showing you how to do that. Okay. And more importantly, we show you where to apply. So apart from the platforms that would give you access to show you where to apply to jobs, we also post jobs every single week. So under your job offers, to those platforms that are paid, we scrape the jobs from those platforms, we send them to you. All you need to do is come in here, click on job offers, and you have access to different jobs. With sponsorship, jobs in the UK, if you're in Nigeria, it doesn't matter where you are, we send you jobs to apply to. For example, these are jobs that come with sponsorship. So you see sponsorship, yes, yes, yes. So you have access to apply. Every single week you have jobs, the US and the UK, Canada, Nigeria, and so on. Okay, so what this does for you is you have access to jobs that your counterparts don't have access to, because these are not jobs that are posted on your conventional, traditional job board. These are jobs from paid job boards. We have vetted these jobs and we've seen that these are the type of jobs you can get. We send them to you every week to apply. Okay. And this gives you better opportunities of landing the job a lot faster than the person who is just trying to do things to look at what sticks and what works. And that's exactly what Ikmat did. Ikmat was a stay-at-home mom, full-time stay-at-home mom in the UK. She joined our data analytics program, and today she's a data analyst with the NHS. She joined us, she had a 2-year employment gap. Okay, 2-year employment gap. She hadn't worked for 2 years because she was taking care of her kids. She was doing her master's also in public health, and she wanted to get into data analytics. She had zero experience. She joined our data analytics program. She didn't want to just get the conventional jobs. She wanted a job with sponsorship, and she wanted a job in the tech ecosystem. Okay, so she joined our data analytics program, completed the program, and eventually she was able to land a job in January 2024 as an information analyst, also with the NHS on full visa sponsorship. Okay, so I'll just show you Ikmat's profile very quickly. Again, every single thing all these professionals did were things that all the things I've shown you so far, they were methodical. Nothing happened by chance. They did the exact thing they were meant to do to get to that particular stage. So this is Ikmat. One of the things you'd also see is she worked with us as a data analyst, and she started this job as an information analyst with the NHS, also on full visa sponsorship. All right. The beauty about having this on your LinkedIn is the referencing. Okay. You also have Judith. Judith was a carer. Judith met a lady in her daughter's school, and that lady had gone through one of our programs and gotten a job. And Judith was complaining that she was tired of care work. She didn't want to work in care anymore. She really wanted to get a job, and her friend recommended Tennalytics to her, just like Ramat's cousin recommended us to her. Judith came into our program in business analysis. She she had a background in HR. So Judy did not have prior experience, just like Ramat, who was doing public health. I beg your pardon, just like Ikmat, who was in public health, just like Ramat, who was in customer service. No experience. Okay. But Judith wanted more. Judith joined our program. She completed our program in March 2024. And 3 months after, she got a job as a business analyst. Now, because Judith wasn't looking for sponsorship, she already had her ILR in the UK. So what Judith did was she wanted a remote job in the US because the US would pay more for the business analyst role than they would in the UK. So she got a job working remotely for a company in the US. We had a full interview with Judith as well, and you can watch the interview here. So make sure, fill the attendance. You have access to all of these. You can listen to Judith. You can listen to Ikmat as well. There was a full interview with Ikmat, how she was able to make that transition, and you can also get to listen to all these amazing professionals. You have Pavel. Pavel was a school teacher in Cameroon. He moved from a teacher in Cameroon to a data analyst in the US. He moved to the US in 2021, and he was doing the normal conventional jobs. He did Uber, he did, the normal menial jobs until he decided, look, I'm going to join the data analytics program, joined our program. He completed his program sometime in December 2024. And Pavel did all the same things I've mentioned today, tailored his CV, joined the mentorship sessions, got prepared for interviews, and eventually he landed a job in March 2025 as a healthcare data analyst with the Arizona community in Tucson, Arizona, in the US. And he got this job less than 3 months after completing the program. And there are so many other success stories. Okay. But before we get there to so many other success stories, I'm not going to bore you with too many. All you need to do to have access to everything is fill the attendance. And I'm going to show you Pavel's profile very quickly. And everybody would ask, how would somebody who worked as a teacher get a job in healthcare data analytics. So if you go to Pavel's profile, you'd see that he worked with us, Tennalytics, data analyst, and he currently works as a data analyst with the Arizona Community Physicians, healthcare data reporting analyst. Okay, how did he get this job? Simply through the type of projects that he completed. Okay, if you go to Victoria's portfolio that I showed you earlier, Victoria has no experience in healthcare, but she worked on a project called Deep Care Hospital Analysis. So if you engage Victoria, asking her questions around healthcare analytics, she can respond because she's built a portfolio, solving a problem for a hospital, working on a healthcare related data set. All right. And that was the same thing Victor did to land this job in healthcare data reporting. Okay. He started this job in March 2025, doing an amazing job. And that's Pavel, from a teacher to a data analyst in the US. So remember, you have to learn the skills, focus on one particular area, make sure you have the right packaging, prepare, position, present yourself as the best candidate for the job. When you have an interview, you don't need to fret. All you need to do, you go to your dashboard and you'd see where you can easily select your interview prep. You select interview prep, click on schedule appointments, and you can fill all the details and you upload the CV you want to use to apply. Select the dates you want to get prepared for the interview, and somebody will join a live call to prepare you for your interview. All right. And that's how you start to get the type of jobs you want. You have the right CV, you have the right LinkedIn, you have the right portfolio, mentorship, interview prep, job reference, on-the-job support, and of course, you know exactly how to apply. Apply in volume, but with precision. And that's what enables you land the job. So in the next about 20 minutes before we wrap up, I'm going to walk you through the different skills you need to learn, because one of the biggest mistakes people also make is they don't know the right skills to have. As a business analyst, what do I need to learn? Is it important for me to learn Excel as a business analyst? Is it important for me to learn SQL? So I've seen business analysts in 2025 that have no idea that SQL is important. And that's why they are stuck applying without getting any opportunity. So I'm going to show you the exact skills you need to learn in each of the 8 career paths I've shown to you today. All right, we're going to do that very quickly, and then we'll have the opportunity to take questions and answers. And what does it take to get into any of these programs? Okay, I'll also walk you through that. So let's look at the skills that you must have in each career path. But before we move into this, I want you to type into the chat if you're getting value for the time you spent so far. Just type in a yes into the chat. Just type in a yes into the chat. If you now know what to do, what employers want from you, how to position yourself as the best candidate for the job, the mistakes you've been making, and how to start to position yourself, type in a yes into the chat. Fantastic. So we have just about 20 minutes and then we call it a day. And this is where you also want to take notes of the skills. I've seen people who want to become data scientists and they start by learning Python. If you do that, you'd crash out because you'd find it too difficult. So how do you build the stepping blocks, the building blocks to getting into that career path? Okay, so let's walk around that very quickly. As a business analyst, you must understand data analytics skills. So you start with Excel, Power BI, and SQL. Okay, so you must have an understanding of how to interact with data, even though you're a business analyst. So you won't go as in-depth as the data analyst, but you should know how to use Excel to handle data, Power BI to build dashboards, and SQL, structured query language, to extract data from databases. Okay, so once you've done this, you then move into process mapping. And this is you mapping processes. How does this process start? How does it end? And what are the different activities, dependencies in between? So you need to know how to map out processes so you can identify the gaps and the inefficiencies and optimize the process. And you'd use tools like Lucid Charts, Draw.io to map out processes. Then you'd learn project initiation and planning, Agile and Scrum for projects, software development lifecycle. Okay, these are the project management related skills attached to the business analyst role. So, as a business analyst, you would manage projects because when you map out a process, you carry out gap analysis to identify the gaps and the inefficiencies, and you want to optimize, and it involves automation. You'd have to manage that project, ensuring that optimizing the process goes exactly the way it should, meet all the requirements that we have defined from the beginning. You would serve as the bridge between the technology team that builds the automation and the business that needs that automation. So you must have project management skills. You'd learn Confluence to collaborate on projects. You'd learn Jira to track project deliverables. You'd learn Trello to track your team members' activities, and Azure DevOps to implement the Agile methodology and Scrum for projects. Okay, you'd learn requirement fundamentals, elicitation, stakeholder analysis and engagement, and AI for business analysis using ChatGPT. So these are the key skills. These are the skills Ramat learned to become a business architect with the NHS on full visa sponsorship. In the UK, as a business analyst, on the average, you'd earn over £52,000 per annum. In Canada, about 74,000 Canadian dollars, usually above this, but this is the average per annum. And in the US, about 85 to $85,000 to six figures per annum. Then you have the Agile Project Manager. So you want to get into Agile project management, you need to understand everything Agile, the Agile methodology, Scrum, Kanban, SAFe, and so on and so forth, okay? And the Lean framework. So you would learn introduction to project management skills and communication, foundations of Agile, understanding the Scrum framework, the Scrum artifacts from your product backlog to your increments, the sprints, and so on. You'd learn the advanced Scrum and Agile practices. You would also learn in class the end-to-end use of Jira and Confluence. Okay, you'd learn workflow management with Kanban boards, the Agile metrics and reporting, the Nexus Scaled Scrum, which is implementing the Scrum framework across multiple teams within the enterprise. And we would help you prepare for the professional Scrum Master examination. You'd learn Confluence to collaborate on projects, Jira to track project deliverables, and you'd learn Trello to track your team members' tasks and progress on different projects. Okay. And as an Agile project manager, which you can also double as a Scrum Master, because Agile is the methodology. And one of the frameworks under the Agile methodology is Scrum. So that's why the Agile project manager can also work as a Scrum Master as well. In the US, six figures, $108,000. In Canada, about 97,000 Canadian dollars. And in the UK, 53,000 pounds. All right. Your learning journey in any of the programs you join with us. So this is not your typical become a data analyst in 3 weeks or become a business analyst in 1 week. No, it's a 6 months learning journey in class. And then you have your 2 months internship. 6 months learning, 2 months internship. Okay. Now, when Ramat, who got a job, I played Ramat's video for about 4 minutes. Ramat joined when the program was still 4 months. Okay, not 6 months. And what we've done over time is to look at the schedule of so many people that join, because we have a lot of care workers, we have a lot of people who are trying to get jobs to ensure they're able to take care of their the cost of living and so on and so forth. So you now have a more flexible class where you have 6 months of learning, enough time to embody, hone all the skills. Okay. You want to hone your skills. You learn the skills and hone them to become so good that you can't be ignored. Okay. So when I say hone, that's HONE. You want to build your skills to that level where you can't be ignored. So 6 months you would learn in class, working on projects, interacting with your facilitators, and then you have 2 months internship. And it doesn't matter where you are. You have a class that fits your time zone. If you're in the UK, you have your classes on Saturdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're in the US, you have your classes 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay, so if you're in the US or Canada, you have a class that fits your time zone. If you're in the UK or in Africa, Europe, you have a class that fits your time zone as well. And if you're in the UK, for example, and you're not available at 11 to 2 in the morning, you can join the class for those in the US or Canada, which would be roughly 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. your time. Okay, so you have that luxury of the flexible classes. And of course, every other day outside Saturday, you have your self-paced classes. Okay, now let's go to the data engineering role. God is a data engineer. How did he become a data engineer? First of all, you'd learn introduction to data engineering. You have to learn SQL, structured query language. As a data engineer, this is what you use to build your data infrastructure. You'd learn Python for building your ETL pipelines. You'd learn Linux for your bash scripting. You'd learn how to get data from different sources, from your databases, get data from APIs, script data from the web. You'd learn Spark, Apache Spark, and Airflow for your data pipeline orchestration, your data pipeline scheduling, and automation. You'd also get to learn cloud engineering using GCP, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. You'd learn version control with GitHub and AI for data engineering using ChatGPT. As a data scientist, you would also get to learn, you start from statistics. That's the foundation of data science. A lot of people do it the wrong way. They start from Python, number 5. Okay. If you start from number 5, it's like building a high rise and you want to start building from the 5th floor. Is that even possible? Of course not. You would crash and collapse the entire building. Okay. So when you want to build then data science, you have to start from the foundation. And the foundation for data science, machine learning is statistics. So you start from there. You'd learn Excel for predictive analytics. You get to learn Tableau for data analytics. You learn SQL, structured query language, before you move to Python. So when I showed the portfolio of Victor, of Gad, they didn't just get there. It took them steps upon steps upon steps before they got to Python. And that's why they were able to complete. They knew how to use the skill and they were able to land jobs. But if you start from Python, and 90% of the people I've met make the same mistake, and you don't want to make that mistake. All right. Then you learn Python for your exploratory data analysis, machine learning, computer vision, version control with GitHub, AI for data science using GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT. Then you learn Microsoft Fabrics as well. And that's what gets you into a data science career path. Now, the data scientist, the data engineer, they all earn amazing salaries. And then you have the data analyst. The data analyst will start with problem solving, Microsoft Excel. You'd learn SQL, Power BI, Tableau, data storytelling, ChatGPT for analytics, which is AI for the data analyst, and of course, Microsoft Fabric for analytics. Again, it's a 6 months learning journey and 2 months internship. The classes are structured in a way that if you're in the UK, you're in Africa, Europe, similar time zones, on Saturdays, you have your live class, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you're in the US, Canada, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or in the North American region, you have a class that fits your time zone. So you're not joining classes at odd hours. Every other day, you get access to your LMS, the learning management system. You watch your videos, you practice, you solve problems, and so on and so on. Okay. Then you have the financial analysts and you have the HR analysts. The financial analyst is a data analyst that focuses on the financial records within the organization. So the data analyst would work with different types of data, just like Ikmat, who works as an information analyst with the NHS. She works on healthcare records within the NHS. Okay. The financial analyst would not work on healthcare records in the same NHS. They would work on what? The financial records. So the financial analyst is a data analyst that is niched to the financial ecosystem. So you work on records, on financial records, financial data as a data analyst. So you'd learn your key data skills, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. Then you learn the core financial fundamentals. And you don't need to have experience in this. Every single thing you learn in class. Okay, so we only expect you to come to class with the understanding of how to open up a folder, close the folder, open up your laptop, browse the internet. Once you can do this, you can get into any of these career paths. Okay, you'd learn accounting fundamentals, financial analysis, financial modeling, valuation, sensitivity and scenario analysis, and AI for financial analytics using ChatGPT. Then you move to the HR analyst role. Again, the HR analyst is also a data analyst with the focus on HR data. So the HR analyst would not care about the other types of data. They don't want to work on customer data. They're not going to work on the financial data. They don't work on research data. They work on what? People data, the HR data. Okay, so they are data analysts and they learn the data analytics skills, problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL, but they tailor these data analytics skills to analyzing people data. Okay, so they want to find out, all right, what type of training improves performance. So they gather data of all the training employees have gone for over the last 5 years and measure that with productivity. How did productivity improve based on the type of training people have gone for? Okay, where do we get our most loyal employees? So the employees that stay the longest, where do they come from? Do they come from posting on our websites? Do they come from LinkedIn? Do they come from HR consultants? Or how do we hire the best, most loyal employees into our organization? So what the HR analyst would do is to get data from hiring over the last 5 years, for example, people we hired through our website, those that we hired through LinkedIn, HR consultants, and let's find out who has stayed the longest and who has also performed the best. And they analyze those type of data. So that's the focus for the HR analyst. They take HR data, people data, to use that to develop HR policies and procedures, and also ensure that any policy that they come up with is data driven. Okay, so you would learn HR analytics and performance evaluation, HR metrics and life cycle, HR analysis and dashboarding, collaboration and report automation, building your case and creating action. And this is where, for most HR professionals, they don't know how to sell themselves, even though they're a core, they form the core building blocks of any organization. Any organization have three major building blocks: processes, people, and technology. So people within any company forms one of the three key building blocks. However, HR in most organizations don't know how to position themselves as a strategic pillar. And that's what we also show you how to do. When you build that dashboard, how do you showcase the dashboard to your core stakeholders to show that these are the things I've done, these are the things we are doing, and has led to improvements in performance over the last, 1 month or 3 months, and so on. That is building your case and creating action. And then we show you how to use AI for the HR analyst role using ChatGPT. Again, it's a 6 months learning journey in class, 2 months internship, total of 8 months. And this is enough time for you to learn all the skills you need and get into this career path, just like the amazing professionals you saw. And last but not the least is cybersecurity. Okay, so you would learn what cybersecurity, different roles and different technologies, what is it all about, information security principles and risk management, introduction to network security, threats and vulnerability. So networking is very important for you as a cybersecurity professional because your role is to protect the system, the network, and the data of that organization from both internal and external threats. You'd learn about the SOC roles and responsibilities, threat detection and response, incident response and threat intelligence, open source intelligence, malware analysis and threat actor profiling, network reconnaissance and vulnerability scanning, exploitation techniques, governance and compliance frameworks, security awareness, training and reporting, and of course, compliance audit and policy development. Now, the beauty about cybersecurity is you can find yourself in any of these three specializations. The first one is the SOC analyst, okay? A security operations center analyst, GRC, governance, risk and compliance, or penetration tester. Let's call them the pen testers. So one of these three specialization is what you'd focus on during your internship. So if you want to work on security operations center related projects, collaborate on those type of projects, then you select the SOC analyst career path. The pen testers, the penetration testers, they are the ones that try to find vulnerabilities within the systems and provide solutions to ensure that those vulnerabilities are not exploited by threat actors eventually. Okay, same type of learning journey, 6 months learning, 2 months internship. Okay, now I'm not going to bore you with more success stories. There are a couple I have on my slide. I'm going to ensure that you have access to the slide at the end of the session today. Make sure you fill the attendance so you have access. But this is Hope. Hope had all the certifications. So she did all the things a typical person would do, which is I want to get certification, and so on. She had the project management certification. She had the Scrum Master certification. But guess what? She couldn't land interviews when she moved to Canada. So she joined our Agile project management program in September last year, and she got a job same last year in December 2024 in about 3 months. And how did she do this? We worked with her, we prepared her, and we showed her how to position herself, showcasing her profile on LinkedIn and also showcasing her portfolio to show that she's good for the job because she doesn't just have the certifications, but she has evidence that she's done the job before. All right. So Hope is your typical example of, I have all the certificates, but that doesn't help you land the job. So that's Hope Atogi, 6-figure job, doing an amazing job here in Canada, working with Visman as a project analyst. Okay. So you'd see Agile project manager with Tennalytics, and she started this job in December 2024 as a project analyst with Visman in Waterloo, Ontario. She joined us in September, she got a job in December before she even completed the program. And today she works as a project manager. And there's so many other professionals. All right. Amaka, for example, also in Canada, she was out of work for 6 months. She joined our HR analytics program in July 2024. And by February this year, she had landed a job as a HR data analyst with Sask Energy in Saskatchewan, Canada. There's a video to also listen to the amazing journey of Amaka. Lois was an accountant back in Nigeria. She moved to the UK. Now she's a business analyst after completing our business analysis program. Okay. Oluwadamilare, no experience in tech, joined our data analytics, currently works as a sustainability data analyst with BAM in Leeds in the UK. Oluwadamilare. Again, if you go to all these amazing professionals, Oluwadamilare, you'd get to find out one thing, okay? These are professionals that have done the exact same thing I've advised you to do today. So that's Damilare. You'd see worked with us as a data analyst. Then he got this job in April 2024 as a sustainability data analyst with BAM in the UK, and so many other professionals. Sonia, HR analyst in the UK. Idris, data engineer in the UK. Chika, financial analyst in the UK. You have Olugbemi, data analyst, business data analyst, solutions analyst in Canada. You have Benga, who is a business data analyst in Poland, and so many other amazing people. Sponsorship in the UK with NatWest after joining our business analysis program, secured a job as a business data analyst and got sponsorship. Mary is currently on a 5-year pathway to ILR. In March, she got the sponsorship in March this year, 2025, and she's going to be on the skilled worker visa until March 2030. And then she can get her ILR and also apply for citizenship 1 year after ILR. And so many other professionals. Adetayo got a job in cybersecurity before he completed the program. And you also have Fikayo, Oye Fikayo. Oye Fikayo was an accountant. She was in finance here in Canada. And what did she do? She wanted to get a job she could work from home where she didn't have to go to the office every day. She was tired of balancing, the account at the end of the month. She joined our data science program in July last year. And by October, before she completed her program, she landed a job as a business intelligence analyst. We also had an interview with Oye Fikayo, and it would be amazing for you to listen to Oye Fikayo's journey. And this brings us to the end of our session when it comes to all the things we need to do. I'm going to play Oye Fikayo's video. I'll show you what it takes for you to start in terms of the next cohort starting, and also how much does it take for me to be a part of Tennalytics, to go through this same process, to have the professionals by my side as I go through my transition journey. But let's listen to Oye Fikayo very quickly. It's a 2 minutes video, and then I'll show you exactly how to get started. All right. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Oye Fikayo's journey.
So happy I got the job. I got the job 1 month to the end of my program. My name is Zoe Additional. I got to know about analytics through one of their Instagram adverts at that point where I just needed to get direction. I would say that is still one of the best decisions I've ever made in my career. Ever since I joined them, the classes, resources, instructors, they are great people. They are always there to support you. You have the Watch Me Doing videos where you can go at your wedding place, and you have the Saturday classes. You have assignments, you have team project where you learn, you work with different people on your team. Joining Tennalytics has helped me a lot because my background is from finance. I'm new to tech. I've never done coding in my life. But now I can tell you I have a very good grasp of what's going on. They have the live sessions, they have the weekly, they have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday programs where you can join CV review sessions, where you can review your CV. You have your interview review sessions. This kind of support they give to you will be surprised. When I booked my interview session, they were really on my case. Like, they just gave me that support, they gave me that confidence I needed for the interview. And I'm so happy I got the job. I got the job 1 month to the end of my program. And even after getting a reference letter, like all the support you need to succeed, they will hold you by the hand till you are where you need to be.
Okay, that's amazing. Oye Fikayo moved from finance, currently in business intelligence in Canada, doing an amazing job. She wanted to move, she wanted to transition, and she was able to do that with no prior experience in data science. Okay, so how do I start today? I want to get my journey started. I want to move to one of these 8 career paths so I can compete for some of the best jobs available. Our next cohort, our July cohort actually started today, 5th of July. Okay, so we have amazing professionals who started their journey today, 5th of July, Saturday, in one of the 8 career paths I shared with you. But we have a new cohort starting in August, specifically on the 9th of August, 2025. And we have an amazing discount for the first 20 people that are interested in getting started. Okay, so if you're interested in starting in any of the 8 career paths, business analysis, data analytics, data science, the full fee for the entire program, everything we've shared today is $900, but we have an amazing discount for the first 20 people that are interested in starting on the 9th of August. So it's an early bird discount for the first 20 people. So rather than paying $900, you get to pay just $750. It's a 20% off. And to crown it on top, you have the opportunity to make your payments in installments. So you don't have to pay the full $750 to get started. All you have to do is pay $150 to get started, and you make the subsequent installments within the next 5 months. All right. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I'll show you how to get started, and we take questions before we call it a day. All right. The discounts, remember, the 20% discount is for the first 20 people to register. All right. So I know some of you have questions. Oh, Adeza, I'm not sure. Should I go for data analytics? Should I go for business analysis? I don't know which one to go for. Now, the advice I always give, because you'd have the opportunity to join a clarity session. The clarity session is where you have the opportunity to ask questions. Oh, I've studied this. Do I go for this or do I go for that? Okay. So if you're not sure of the program to go for, no problem. Take advantage of the discount, register, and then book a clarity session. And I'll show you how to do that. When you book a clarity session, we organize that session for you. We listen to all the questions and we address them, and we guide you on the program to select. We don't choose for you, but we guide you to selecting the right career path. Okay. The advantage of doing that, of registering before booking the clarity session, is you don't miss out on the discounts, because there are so many people that they book the clarity session, they get their question answered, and guess what? The discount slots at that time would have been exhausted. So they find themselves paying the full amount of $900 instead of the discounted fee of $700. So how do you do all these things I've said? How do you register? If I want to pay today, secure my discounts, what do I need to do? You click on this link. Okay, it takes you to the enrollment center. All right, the enrollment center is where you have access to the brochures. You can get access to all the program brochures. You want to see the nitty-gritty of what you would learn and so on. You click on that. You want to chat with any of my colleagues, click on chat with Tennalytics. You also have the phone numbers, the WhatsApp numbers. You want to reach out to any of my colleagues, you can do that using any of these numbers. All right. But from the enrollment center, all you need to do is select the program you're interested in. Say I want to register for cybersecurity, for example, or data analytics. I click on that. Okay. And then I'll see that there are 20 slots available. Okay, 20 slots. And you can also select the currency you want to. If you're in Europe, for example, you want to pay in euros, all you have to do is come in here, type EUR, and you can make payments in euros. Okay, if you want to make payments in US dollars, Canadian dollars, Naira, Nigerian Naira, Ghanaian cedi, you can do that. I can pay in cedis, for example, and I'll see the Ghanaian cedis. All you have to do is select the currency and you'd see the discounted fee calculated for you. Okay, you can make a one-time payment, 2 monthly payments, 3 monthly payments, or all the way to 5 monthly payments. Okay, so let's take, for example, I want to make payments in pounds. Okay, I select the British pounds. If I make a one-time payment, I get to pay £575. Okay. However, if I pay in 5 installments, I still get the discounted fee of 615. But if you make a one-time payment, you get another additional discount. All right. Remember, the discounted fee is $750. So let me use the US dollar to explain this. All right. The discounted fee is $750 instead of paying the full amount of $900. So if I pay in 5 installments, I pay $150 for 5 months. All right. But if I make a one-time payment, rather than paying $750 discounted fee, I get additional $50 discount and I get to pay just $700. Or if I pay in 2 installments, I still get to pay just $700 instead of paying $750. Okay, so that's another benefit for those who will be making a one-time payment or 2 monthly payments. But let's assume I want to pay in pounds. So, and I want to select the 5 monthly payments. I get to pay £123 for 5 months. And that's all it takes for me to get started. So I click on secure your seats. You'd see when you make your payments. The first payment is made today, which is the 5th of July. So the next payment is meant to come on the 5th of August. All right. Next payment, September, next October, next November, until you complete your entire payment on the 5th of November, 2025. But for some people, you don't get salary until the end of the month. So you make your first payment today. When you are in the program, you reach out to us. We can schedule the second payment to come the same time your salary would come as well. So it's easy for you to make that second payment eventually. So you click on proceed. You'd see all the details, enter your full name, enter your email address, enter your phone number, you click on proceed. So once you click on proceed and you enter your credit card or your debit card details, you confirm payment. Now, when you confirm payment, you'd receive a confirmation email directly from the payment platform, and you'd also receive a link for you to complete your registration. Okay. Now, when you're completing the registration by clicking on that link, that's where you select if you want to have a clarity session. And I'll show you what the link looks like. So when you click on the link, it brings you to the registration form. Okay. So here you'd see allow for 3 to 4 working days for payment confirmation. And you also get something called a welcome kit a week before the commencement of your cohort. So a week before you start on the 9th of August, you receive a welcome kit. It's your lesson plan. It contains the links for you to join the LMS, your dashboard, your learning management system, where you have access to your dashboard, to join the classroom, where you can also interact, and to join your WhatsApp group, because every class has a WhatsApp group. Your class facilitator is there. I'm also in that group. You have your class coordinators and everybody. You have them in that group. Okay. So you get all of this a week before the commencement of the cohorts. Then you click on this, fill all the details. So this is the form you complete to register fully. Did you make a full payment or initial? You select that. Click on next. These are pretty much standard. Click on next, next, next. Okay. Click on next. Your first name, your surname, registration, email, gender, fill all of that. Click on next. All right. If you need to reach out to any of my colleagues, you have the emails right here. You have the phone numbers. You can reach out to us on WhatsApp. Click on next. When did you make payments? You select the dates right here, 5th of July, upload a screenshot, the mode of payment, you select from the drop down, click on next, next, and this is where you select, okay? If you are not sure of the program to register for, maybe you're contemplating between data analytics and data science, the full stack data science program, and you want to have a conversation with a career expert to help you select, just click on I need to speak to a professional, and somebody will jump on a call, answer your questions, guide you to selecting the right career path. Okay, click on next. Again, for some of you who have commitments, on the 9th of August. You want to start in September. The advantage is you take advantage, you can get the discount and defer to start in September. So if you don't want to start on the 9th of August, you can also come here and start on the 6th of September. So what you do by securing your discount today is when September comes and people are paying in August for the September cohorts and the discount is no longer available, you would have already secured your discount and you would get a deal. Rather than paying $900, you get to pay just $750. Okay. So that's the advantage of being one of the first 20 people to register. All right. So you complete all these details. Where are you joining from? How did you find out about us? And what made you register? Fill all these details and submit. And that's what gets you registered for the program. Okay. So I'm going to take questions before we call it a day. And I would love to also hear from you. Remember, the discount is for the first 20 people to register from today's session. So take advantage of the discount and be one of the first 20. All right. So I'm going to take a breather at this point. I'll take questions. So feel free, drop your questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I'll call you up to speak and unmute yourself. All right. Let me see. I think I have Linda. Linda, please go ahead. I've asked you to unmute yourself. How are you doing today, Linda?
I'm fine, thank you, Suleiman. It's really nice to be on this call with you.
Fantastic.
Adiza, I had
Yes. Where are you joining from,
read
Linda?
from the UK.
From the UK. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I had uh, subscribed to the Amdari work experience
I'm
package, yeah,
Dari. Okay.
and then we resumed today. Now,
Okay.
I have interest in data science. I want to
Okay.
ask, is there a way I can combine that with the work experience time? Like if I want to enroll for the data science package, can I, is it flexible enough for me to combine it with the Amdara work experience?
Uh, I would say
Do you
no.
understand what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. I
okay.
understand. So the reason why I say no is simply because the data science program itself is quite intensive. Okay. You'd have live
Okay.
classes, you'd have your self-paced classes, you'd have individual tasks and assignments and projects, you'd have group tasks and projects. And I can bet you that you'd have clashes with your Amdari work experience. Okay. So you don't want to find yourself trying to do two things at once. And at the end of the day, you don't get the right value from any of the two. I would rather suggest that you focus on one. Okay. Complete that one, and then you can pick up the other and dive into it. All right. Because it would be a very tough time for you to combine the two. You would have clashes. One would have to step down for the other one at some point, and you will not get the full value from the program if you get to do that. I don't know if that makes sense, Linda.
Yes, it does. It does. It does. I have another question.
Yes, go ahead.
From the sessions I've been joining,
Yes.
it's really interactive and an eye opener. I've done data analysis, yeah, with
Yep.
a buddy, and then I'm looking
Yep.
for the work experience. But then I'm
Yep.
asking, um, because the testimonies from the past students, they joined
Yes.
Tennalytics and
Yes.
they get a job. So in my head, is a very structured, detailed, structured learning,
Yes.
that builds confidence and knowledge. So
Absolutely.
I want to ask, with the work experience in Amdari, do you think I'm going to struggle? Maybe I might have some loopholes, or is it possible for the professionals guiding us to also help us when we have such struggles?
Yep. Absolutely. So one of the things the Amdari work experience would do for you is you have coaches that would work with you every week. At least you meet with your coaches, I think about 2 times every single week, apart from your daily office hours. So when they identify a gap, because one of the things I always like to tell people who, tell me that, oh, I have experience or I've learned somewhere else and I think I'm good enough And I've tested so many people like that, and we find gaps and loopholes, because what we do is not just to teach you. We teach you, you work on projects, you embody all the skills that you need to actually do the job before you move into Amdari for your work experience. Okay. So what would happen, and what I want you to do, Linda, is your coaches would identify the gaps you have. And when they identify your gaps, maybe there's a project you're working on, you really don't know what to do because you've not done it before, or you've never used that technology. Make sure you ask questions. Oh, I've never used Lucas Studio. I don't know how I'm going to solve this problem with Lucas Studio, or I've never written Office scripts before on Excel. So I don't know how to use Office scripts. Okay, can you show me how? So your data coaches would show you how to use those tools. So you're doing two things. You won't just go through the work experience by solving projects, getting the necessary experience you need. You'd also have some flavor of learning along your journey as well.
Okay, that's lovely.
Yeah.
Like, you just said Office scripts in Excel. I don't think I know that. I'll have to look that up. Thank you very much, Adisa.
You're going to work with Office scripts, so look forward to that.
Okay.
It's something we realize
Thank-
that lots of people, you're welcome, Linda. A lot of people don't know how to use Office scripts, but it's very important in today's Excel. Okay, so how do you write? Pretty much seems like you're writing codes on Excel, but the difference is not as difficult as you would, in other platforms, like you writing Python, scripts, or writing SQL scripts and so on. So Office scripts, you write it on Excel. It's a lot easier for you to pick that up. So we show you how to do that because it helps with automation. And we're in the world of automation today. Organizations are looking for professionals that have the knowledge to help them become more efficient by automating certain type of reporting. And that's why part of your work experience would always include Office scripts. So when you mentioned data, I thought I should mention that too. All right. So let me see if I have more questions. A lot of hands up. Let me take from the chat a little bit, and then I'll get another person to unmute and I'll take questions. Fijimi is saying, as a 2023 November cohort, can I schedule an interview? Yes, you can, Fijimi. What you need to do is, I'm going to drop an email, send an email to enquiries, or just if you can see my screen, Fijimi, just send an email to enquiries. All right. And we get to connect you to the LMS. Okay. So our LMS was launched in 2024. And Fijimi, that's probably the reason why you don't have access to that. Okay. So send an email to enquiries@tennalytics.io. So you have access to this, and you can always come here whenever you have an interview. You schedule an interview appointment. Okay. I'm trying to enroll on the next course starting in August, but it's not letting me go past selecting stage. So daily, if you have made payments and you filled all the necessary details you need to fill when you made payments, when you subscribed and all of that, you've done all of that. All you have to do is, my colleagues are currently in the chat with you. Iyanu, for example, Iyanu Lua from Tennalytics. Let me see if Isosa is still here. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not sure Isosa is still here, but Iyanu can help you sort out that problem. And if you've registered, you've gotten your confirmation email, you can send an email to any of these two numbers on the screen. Any of these two numbers. Any of these two emails, I beg your pardon, enquiries@tennalytics.io or admission@tennalytics.io. Send an email, copy one of the two, and somebody would respond and help you with filling of the form and completing the registration. The most important thing is you've been able to make payments, if that's the challenge you're facing at the moment. Okay. King Solomon, that's an interesting name. Good to have you on the call, King Solomon. Currently reside in the UK. I don't have any formal experience. Whoops. Your message has disappeared, King Solomon. I'll greatly appreciate your guidance on navigating the options available. So I've told you how to do that, King Solomon. All right. You want to book a clarity session. Book a clarity session. You have the opportunity to interact with myself and also our career experts, and they help you navigate your options based on anything you want to talk about, your experience, your previous education, your last two jobs, whatever the case is. We guide you on how to select the right career path. Okay. Let me see. Let me take somebody who wants to unmute. Fijimi, I've asked you to unmute yourself, Fijimi. Please go ahead. Let's hear from you. Where are you joining from, Fijimi, and what's your question?
You've answered my question already. I'm joining from Texas, US.
From Texas, okay. Good to have you on the call, Fijimi. Good to know I've also answered your question. I think that's great. So I'll just move to the next person, Fijimi. All right. Let's go to Oji. I think I'll take about 2-3 more questions, and I want to show you something before we wrap up today. So for so many people, they want to have access to, I saw so many messages, or I need the link to watch the videos of these amazing professionals who's gotten jobs after completing what. So I'll show you where you can also access that apart from just getting the links on my slide. Okay, so Oji, please go ahead. Let's hear from you. Where are you joining from, Oji? And what's your question for me today?
Good evening. Hi everyone. Good evening. I'm joining from the UK. So my question, can you hear me, please?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So my question is also similar to, I can't remember, I think Linda or so.
Okay.
I've currently had a couple of engagements regarding Talent Loop.
Okay.
So I got engaged, but my full engagement is still yet to kickstart. I think probably from next week or so, based on an email I got this evening.
Okay.
I'm interested in the business analysis program. Is it convenient, similar to Linda, for me to combine both? And interestingly, if I should ask, I know everybody might be interested in that question, whether there will be an additional discount, especially for those that are onboarded in one or two of your programs, or maybe they are on Talent Loop, or they're on Amdare like Linda or myself that's jumped on Talent Loop. Is there any additional discount, and is it possible to combine both? That's my first question.
Okay.
And my second question is around, do I say flexibility now?
Yeah.
Now, let me put the question three in a way it could try to make sense to you, Adiza, if that's okay. If
Go
I'm on
ahead.
the business analysis program and there's a tool that I'd probably love to learn and it's not part of my program, is there a way I can have that flexibility to get a nod or some approval to say, okay, you can join this other class and learn this if that's what you want? I know it might or it might not be flexible, or there might be a commitment to that. I just wanted to walk around it and see,
Okay.
just to have a look and see if there's any response to that effect. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Beautiful questions, Oji. So Talent Loop is a different service entirely. For Talent Loop, you're not going to do anything. All right. The only thing you do for Talent Loop is you send us your CV, you send us your LinkedIn profile. So Talent Loop helps you apply to jobs and guarantees you interviews. Okay. And the reason why we set up Talent Loop is simply because a lot of people, like I mentioned at the beginning of my session today, the reason why people don't get jobs, one major reason, which we highlighted, is because they don't apply to jobs. So even after all the amazing stuff, the lovely things I've said today, apply to 8 to 10 jobs, do this, do that, people don't, they get lazy when it comes to applying to jobs. So we set up Talent Loop to take off that hassle from you. So you are probably busy, you have so many commitments and so on. We take the hassle out of, off you. We apply to the jobs on your behalf, and we guarantee you interviews in the process. So all you just have to do is, you have this interview coming up. We prepare you for the interview. I don't know the package you registered for, but the comprehensive package, we get you interviews, we prepare you for the interviews, and you go ahead to, take the interviews, and you land jobs at the end of the day. So the Talent Loop is a different package for, you want to start learning business analysis. You can do that without any issue. It doesn't affect anything, because Talent Loop in the first instance, it's not going to require your own involvement in the process. We do everything on your behalf. Okay, so you can combine the two without any hassle. The second question is if there is any discount associated with combining the two. Not at the moment, especially when it has to do with Talent Loop, because it's a whole lot of work. Whoever is assigned to you to ensure they get you the interview, they're working day and night, ensuring that your CV is tailored and they use the right tools and the right processes to get you all the interviews that you need. And I'll give you an example. We worked with a lady. I think sometime around March. We got her 5 interviews within the space of 1 month. But after we were done with her, after her 5 interviews, because sometimes you put in applications and you don't get to hear back from the companies until much later. So even after she was done with the process, we had done her offboarding. She was happy with all her interviews. Luckily for her, one of the interviews resulted to a job. But even after she had left, she got over 20 more interviews from the numerous applications we had put in, for her. So while she was within the service period, the interviews did not come. She got only 5 within the service period. We prepared her. Luckily for her, she got one of the jobs out of the 5. But even afterwards, she got over 20 interviews that came in much later due to the applications we had made. Okay. So there is no discount at the moment when you combine the two. But thanks for asking the question. And can I learn another tool? So usually it's not a direct no. I won't give you a direct no. We don't encourage that, okay? Because it's like you registering for business analysis and you want to learn Python. So you have to go to the data science class to go learn Python. So each program has its own different fees. But what we'll do for you, Oji, and we've done this so many times, you have an interview coming up, or you've applied to a particular job and it requires a particular tool or technology for you to get that job. We give you all the resources that you need to land the job. Okay, so that's the type of support we provide to you. But you would have to make the case in terms of, okay, I'm applying to this job. I don't have this skill. I need you to prepare me for this. So we provide you with resources to help you get there. But it's not just a straight jacket. I mean, business analysis, or I want to know network reconnaissance, is cybersecurity, and we put you in there. No, it must be related to the type of jobs that you want to get, business analysis related. And there are some certain skills that you have seen in one of the particular jobs you want to apply to, and you don't have that skill. We provide you with the resources to gain and learn those skills eventually. I don't know if that answers your question. So before I take the next question, what you want to do is go to YouTube. All right, search for Tennalytics on YouTube. Search for Tennalytics on YouTube. You'd see the Tennalytics logo. Make sure you subscribe. Click on the link, the Tennalytics logo. It takes you to our YouTube page. You have access to numerous content over the last 4 years. All right. So a lot of the success stories you got to watch today, from Ramat to Ikmat to the amazing professionals to Judith. You didn't get to listen to Judith, but this was an interview, with Judith and Pavel, the teacher in Cameroon who became a data analyst in the US. So you have the Tennalytics job success stories. You have them right here. It's a playlist. You can click on that and listened to close to 200 people, over 150 plus people. Yes, over 150 plus people, and how they made their transition from what they did before to one of the 8 career paths that I listed today. Somebody like Zainab, who quit her banking job, and today she's a data management professional. Zainab is in Nigeria. Okay, you have Salami, you have Judith, who is in the UK, and so many other amazing professionals. This is Amaka, who is in Canada with Sask Energy. Hope, you have Adetayo, who is in the UK as a cybersecurity professional, got the job before he even completed cybersecurity. So you get to watch all these amazing professionals here on YouTube. All right. So I'll look into the charts to see if we have more questions. If I have made payments, oh yes, you can always upgrade. Archibong, always. Just send a message, or I'd like to upgrade. Somebody would help you do that. All right. Emmanuel, just type your question into the chat and I'll pick it from there. The click here for payments is not responding on my phone screen. You can't click it from my screen because I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so you have to click on the link. The link is embedded to this button that says here. Okay, so my colleagues would share the link into the chat. I can also share the link with you. That's the platform right here, the enrollment center, the main staff enrollment center. So when you click on here, it brings you to the enrollment center. Okay, so I'll just copy this and drop it in the chat. That's for the person who asked for that. Okay, so let me take our last question before we call it a day today. And before I take the question, again, the discount is for the first 20 people. We got into an accelerator last year where we got to participate in one of the programs created by the Alberta government on helping innovative startups to launch. So we launched in North America last year to get closer to our North American audience. So you get to see me. That's me right there. That's Efemena, the co-founder of Tennalytics. And we had other amazing startup founders who talked about their startups and how to provide amazing value. So that's Efemena, Tennalytics, helping people of the Black community to break into global tech careers. Okay, so it's a good read to read about what this was all about and the amazing stuff we had to do participating in the Alberta Catalyzer program. And also you have our accreditation by the American Council of Training and Development. Okay, so it's also a good read to read about the amazing stuff that we do at Tennalytics. All right, so make sure you follow us across board. Follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on X, across all platforms. So you're one of the first people to know some of the new initiatives and amazing things, amazing stuff we get to put out in the second half of 2025. Okay, so I'll take my last question and then we'll wrap up for today. Mosun, go ahead. Let's hear from you, Mosun. Where are you joining from and what questions do you have for us today?
Hi, Adeza.
Hello, Mosun. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for this session.
Okay.
I'm joining from Alberta.
Okay.
So I have a number of questions. You talked about a lot of resources, and I mean the one you said you can use to apply for a job, or you apply for a job on behalf of the candidate. Is it
Yes.
open to everybody?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Then for the internship, you say it's 2 months. How long is the internship?
So if you join a Tennalytics program, the internship is for 2 months.
Okay.
Okay. But if you're joining for, like I think it was Linda that said she joined Amdari directly. Because for some people, they already have the training, so they don't want to go through the training process again before they go into the internship. So you can go directly to the internship and you can select either 3 months or 6 months.
Oh, so it's a paid service, right?
It's a paid service, yes.
Okay, so I'm in a similar situation. I have had training somewhere else.
Okay.
I think it's about 3 years ago.
Yep.
No, yeah, 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago. So, and I'm looking to do like a refresher program because I have not worked with the training since I had it. So
Okay.
I'm looking to do a refresher program. So I also wanted to know is there anything like a short refresher program? Because I know you had mentioned that the theoretical part of the training is for 1 month, and then I think the practicals or the projects are going to be for the remaining months or something like that. Am I correct?
So for the training is 6 months. You learn
Okay.
6 months in class, and then you have 2 months internship.
Okay.
Okay, that's if you join Tennalytics, you go through the entire process. So let's take, for example, you don't have prior training, prior knowledge, prior experience. You want to start from the scratch. You are moving from a banker to becoming a data analyst. You start from the beginning. You work with us in class for 6 months,
Okay.
learning all the tools, learning the technologies, working on projects. And then the next 2 months would be for your internship. So it's a combination of a total of 8 months, 6 months in class, 2 months internship. But
Two
in your
months
case,
intention. Mhm.
yes, you already have training somewhere else, but you've not put it into practice. You've never
Yeah,
worked that capacity.
that's
So
correct.
Amdari is the best, solution for you. All right. So you join Amdari, you can select 3 months internship or 6 months internship.
So
Okay.
how do you spell Andari?
So what I'll
A
suggest you do, Amdari, Amdari,
okay.
Amdari. Okay.
Yeah, you said
So
you wanted to suggest something.
yes, just send um an email
Okay.
to just send an email. I want to write it somewhere on my screen, or just send an email to enquiries.
Okay.
It's currently on my screen, enquiries@tennalytics.io.
Okay.
Okay. And say, I'm interested in only the internship. All right. And somebody would provide all the details that you need to get started. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you. I think I had already written a question in the comment section previously where I said, so if I want to do the class all over again,
Yes.
so you said the classes are only on Saturdays, so there's
Your
no
live
during the
classes
week.
are on Saturdays.
Sorry,
Your live classes are on Saturdays.
on Saturdays, but you
Yes.
have self-space training that you can take during the course of the program, right?
Absolutely. So every other day,
Mm.
on a Sunday, on a Monday, on a Tuesday, you can watch your videos, the self-paced parts of your learning experience on the LMS. All right. So the
Okay.
only time you get to join a live class is on a Saturday. You learn with a professional who'd walk you through every single thing that you'd get to learn, the tools, the technologies, the case studies, and all the problems you would solve. I
So I
think
know,
you
but
must
but say
say that again, please. Okay, I can't hear Mosun anymore. I'm not sure that's from my end. Mosun, if you can hear me, I can't
hello,
hear you anymore.
hello.
Hi, Mosun, go ahead, please.
Okay, so I wanted to know, like, how many was the average of project that one gets to do during the course of the program?
What's the average what?
Number of projects that you can put portfolio during the course of the program.
What program are you talking about?
Okay, say data analyst or business analyst. I'm
The
just
data.
asking because the last one I did, the last
Yeah.
course I did, we only
Yes.
did one project, right? We only did one project. Yeah,
Uh,
we had the series of assignments. So, and that's not sufficient
it's
enough
it's
to
not.
put on your portfolio. So
It's
that's what
not.
I'm
So
asking.
different programs have different number of projects. But as a data analyst, you work on a minimum of 25 projects. Minimum
Oh
of
my,
25.
oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
What about business analyst?
The business analyst should work on about 10 to 12 projects altogether.
Oh,
That's
okay,
combining your learning and also your internship. You get to work on about 10 to 12 projects.
okay, Okay. Okay. Thank you. I think I have answered to all my questions.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome,
But
Osun. But I think your last question raised a red flag. Okay. Working
what's
on
that?
one working on one project is grossly inefficient. Grossly, that's not enough for you to learn how to do anything. I'm not sure how detailed or comprehensive the project was, but for every single, let me show you something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For every single module, you should have a case study. So as a business analyst, you learn how to write business cases. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So to business analyst program, for example, you learn how to write business cases. The
Right?
next thing to follow, the next thing that should follow that naturally is, how do I write a business case in a real case scenario? All right. So every single module. So when you see a module, business case, for example, you want to learn business case and SDLC, there is always a case study. There's always a
Yeah.
case study that it's all right. Every single module has a case study. Case study SDLC, there's a case study on business cases, requirement life cycle, product life cycle. You have a case study. Because if you don't work that way, you'd find it difficult when you get into the real world of work and you're meant to write a business case and you realize that, oh, in class I never did it. How do I do it? And you try to figure it out by Googling or getting somebody to walk you through. So every single module has a case study. All right. Product life cycle. You'd see a case study on product life cycle. You have 2 case studies. Product life cycle, PRD for Swift app, gap analysis. You'd also see a case study for gap analysis. You have 4 case studies on gap analysis. All right. So that's why I'm a bit concerned about the one case study you said you worked on.
No, I didn't say one case study. I said we did one major project. We did a number of case studies, but we did one major project at the end of, like, capstone kind of stuff at the end of the program.
What type of project was it? Or did you build an app? Exactly did you do?
Okay, so we created an onboarding platform for a for an hospitality company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Onboarding platform. All right.
Yeah.
How long did it take to complete the project?
So our project was like 2 months. Yeah, 2 months.
Okay. Perhaps it was comprehensive. I really can't tell. But minimum, you'd work on about 10 projects as a business analyst, as a data analyst, on about 25 projects at the end of the day. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm going to send a mail, like you suggest. Then I'm going to send a mail, but I want to hold its place in the discount, so that, should I decide, or maybe when I do a clarity session, should I decide
Yeah.
I want to go back and do like a refresher program? I'll
So
have,
join the clarity session. Send the email.
yeah.
Indicate all these details. I want to join the clarity session. Somebody would help you out with that.
Okay.
So you can easily decide.
And I also want to book a slot for the discounts.
The way you book the slot is to register, Mosun. But like I said, what you should do, because you have a bit of confusion if to go for Amdari
Yeah.
or Tennalytics. So send the
Good.
email, let the team know that this is my situation. All right. I have the skills.
Okay.
I don't know if I should go for Tennalytics or Amdari. And
Okay.
just send that in the email. We'll organize the clarity session and we'll figure that out for you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I think that'll be all the questions I'll take for today. So thank you very much for sticking from the beginning of the session till this moment. All right. If you've gotten value for your time today, spending your Saturday with us at Tennalytics, just type in a yes into the chat. If you have more questions, and I know you have more questions, I can still see some hands raised. Reginald, for example, I haven't taken Reginald's question. All right. So all you need to do is take advantage of the discounts, secure your discount, the discounted slot. You book a clarity session. Somebody would answer all the questions that you have. Oh, I studied this, or I've worked in logistics, or I've learned in this, different organization. I didn't get to work on projects. What do I need to do? Somebody would help answer all those questions. And the advantage of doing that is you don't miss out on the discount. Okay. If you've made payments, you've gotten a confirmation for your payments, you're home and dry. All right. You'd get to interact with the team members. A week before you start, you get your welcome kits and you get cracking on the 9th of August, or for those of you that would move or defer to the 6th of September. So thanks for joining us today. I'll see you in some other session, and I look forward to working with every single one of you in 2025 to get your journey started. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you in some other session. Cheers, everyone.